let it do what it got to do and just let Jerome get on.
Okay.
So, but no, man, it's Other than that, we live. Let me just let you know now we live, but
Okay.
we don't let our thing get started. Um, give it a few minutes because you gotta. Let's see, you got. I don't know how many people normally be watching, but then at the same time, I don't do this for views anyway.
Gotcha.
I just like talking to brothers. So, Jerome, yo, when you
What up,
go
B?
to when you go to your Facebook page and when you go to this all right, we live. Just want to let you know. I'm just letting it populate, but just go on and make sure we go on
All right. All
not
right.
private, but for everyone to see it, and just tag me on it, and it'll go straight to my Facebook page. So, hey Wheeler, a
Yo.
lot of our Facebook page, the Three Headed Monster Facebook page. I don't know. A majority of our audience is in Africa,
You're
so
doing what now?
a lot of people from Africa be on the
Oh, from
be viewing
Africa?
on the Facebook page. I don't know why I went there because maybe because we black and
Well, that's great then. We need that, the African, reach out. Y'all need that. You know what I'm saying? We gotta,
Brother Wathro, man, he early. Nah, that's unusual. Brother Wathro this early? No, maybe sleep. Maybe when Jerome, go ahead and send him that.
All right, hold on. You keep talking.
But all right, peace, brothers and sisters. Brother Brian, one of part of the Three Headed Monster podcast. Today we're gonna be talking about what's going on, Mr. Samuel? Waiting on Rome to fall. I was like, what the? But we've been trying to get him on for a minute. But we're gonna talk about who benefited from the civil rights movement of 1965, and we're just gonna politic on it because that's the last of the civil rights bills that was passed, but it was several ones before that. But we're just gonna jump in because of the way the society and everything going around is kind of crazy because the people who did, I mean, we started the march. A lot of other groups joined the march, but it's a hell of a lot of more people that's fucking benefiting other than us. So like, share, show us some love, comments, you know, and let's build. We got brother Ant Wheeler. What's going on, Ant? What's good, man?
what's going on, gentlemen? Everything is well, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to converse with you guys about this shit because, yeah, that needs to be discussed.
And then we got brother Jerome. My bad, Uncle Rome in the house. So we gonna build. We're gonna build. We're gonna build. Like I said, I love people to comment on what we do. Um, this is our Sunday brunch. Because we know what a lot of other people are doing around this time frame. But this is what we doing. We building, and that's all we're gonna do is continue to keep building, and just try to just bring certain knowledge, our knowledge. But go ahead, Jerome.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope all is well. I want to say good morning to our Facebook family. Say good morning to our YouTube family. And as B has already told you, like, share, hit the notification button. Let's try to spread this Sunday brunch around. Uh, but as always, anything that we tell you, please don't believe us. Do your research. Once you do your research, come back. Let's talk. Let's politic. Let's build. Let's go forward. Um, and we'd like to welcome our guest, Brother Willa. We ain't had him on in a minute, but he's always welcome. Um, so yeah, let's kick this off, B.
So I know we was getting ready to get into it. I had to stop Wheeler for a minute. Wheeler, who you think, you know, because I like how you started off, because you're gonna start this fire off.
Uh huh.
Who benefited from the civil rights movement in 1965?
White women. White women benefited more than anybody else. White women. Then everything else, everybody, came behind and got it. From Latino to Asian or whatever. But white women is the biggest benefit of that shit. They use it till they, what I'm saying, till they use it when they need to use it, and it works for them. White women have received the most proceeds from that than anybody else. And the rest of the majority of the minority, so-called minorities, have it as well too. Black folks just have not benefited from it. We set the stage, we did everything necessary to get that, but we don't benefit from that shit. Affirmative action. That's it. Let's look at affirmative action. Prime example, part of that whole civil rights movement. White women get more of a benefit from that than anybody else. We don't get that benefit. We never have got. We don't done everything that we're supposed to do in this fucking country, and we still get shit. It's crazy. It's some very interesting. Everybody benefit from it, but us. We don't benefit from it. White women is the most beneficial of that civil rights movement than anybody else.
True, true, true. You said something else on the affirmative action. They benefited from that too.
Oh, they
It's
benefit more than
like
anybody else. Yes,
True.
yes, sir.
so it's kind of more of when it says civil rights, which it is for everyone. And I think it was, when we talk, all right, you see, when we think about this, the movement itself, it took a turn because it started off as a march for equality.
Well, I mean,
And
let's go back a little bit further. Let's look at Brown versus education. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back a little bit further than that. You know what I'm saying? So it really, with that, you know what I'm saying, with the whole Rosa Parks movement, it kicked off some things that really started to challenge the system.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? The Montgomery bus boycott. You know what I'm saying? That was, so things like that was happening. But that board of education really shook things up, and from that point on, everything started to fall as far as civil rights and affirmative action, everything else out there. But that board of education was a big one, man. That was, I mean, we go further than that shit. You really want to, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We go back to to Dred Scott. You know what I'm saying? To the greatest, Dred Scott this shit, decision when he tried to get his freedom. So it goes way back. But if you want to look at the modern time of it, yeah, the civil rights has not benefited us at all. Because they changed when it comes to the voting. What, several years ago they changed that shit.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? One of the condition was to make sure that places like, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, or whatever, didn't do shit to prevent people from voting. All right, but that got turned over in the Supreme Court. Part of that, you know what I'm saying, that voting deal, which is part of that whole civil rights thing too, you know what I'm saying, got changed as well too. Like, they no longer want to watch the polls and shit and see, that black folks getting the benefit. Once again, we don't get no benefit of the doubt. Once again, we get shit on again. We do all the fucking heavy lifting, and everybody else benefit from it. We don't benefit from none of this shit, man. We here. We just here. That's what we are. We just here. We're existing, man. And it's time. I mean, it's time for that. That soul talk to stop, man. But yeah, that's where we at.
Right.
Told you, said it all.
I think
Go ahead, Jerome. Go ahead, Jerome.
I
Go
think
ahead. Go ahead.
now I think the points what the brother was bringing out is great. Um, me, me, I like to look at it on a deeper scale, right? And just like what Brian's wanting to get to is the civil rights of 1866, which is cool,
Yeah.
and we'll get to that. Yeah, yeah, and we'll get to that. But I want to go a little bit deeper because it's you got to look at the wordplay when you're in the United States. Wordplay is everything. You got to understand what civil, first of all, means. You got to understand why we even in a civil society. Where did the civil society come from? You have to go back to Rome, right? And I'm talking about after Etruscans were killed off and run off. That's your people be. Um, so So when you got to look at this European system of Rome, in civil system, the categories of people, category free men, you got three power groups that are above the free men and the slaves. So a lot of times when you see civil rights, and you trying to understand civil rights from the perspective that you are equal to everybody else, but that's not how it is. You only equal to those slaves, because if you don't understand, slavery was never uh, gotten rid of. So you're equal to slaves or freed men. You're not even on
Yep.
the upper echelon as far as making decisions. You're not on the upper echelon of changing lifestyles. That's not where you're at. And until you understand the system that you're in, you'll always be frustrated by how the system treats you. That makes sense to you?
I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
Fergus.
yeah. I got a
Yeah,
definition, but go ahead,
yeah.
Willie.
I
Go
was about
ahead.
to read. Yeah, yeah. That's my thing was with the civil. I'm glad it was in my mind. Like, yo, let's discuss the word play, as you say, civil. Let's discuss the and definition. Go ahead, but you got the definition. Go ahead. What is it?
All right. Some of the just say what are the five civil rights? The right to be free from discrimination, the freedom to worship, as you choose, the right to vote for elected representatives, the protection of due process, and the right to privacy. In Latin terms, it basically it is really it's a right of a citizen, which that digs a
And
deeper rabbit hole. We about to go down back to the whole citizenship.
but
But
it's so
go
is.
ahead,
That's
John.
what I'm telling you. You don't see, because you don't understand the system, right? You think you're a citizen. Why do you have to be a citizen when you're already human? Why do I have to be guaranteed civil rights? That means that I'm inside a system that deals with you different. Here's what you can do inside of this system, because that's why it's different. Think about when you look at the UN, right? You look at country to country when they're having problems. They don't say, "Well, this country is violating this person's civil rights, but violating their human rights." It's a human rights issue, right? So why is it in the United States? It's a civil right issue, not a human right issue. It's because you're not classified as human. You're classified as a citizen of this system.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead,
It
go
just
ahead, go ahead, Willie.
yeah. He just summed it up. Anywhere else is human rights in America. But we all know, man. It's this is about. It ain't nothing about two things, man. It's about power, about money, man. It ain't nothing else. You know what I'm saying, that they're gonna do. I mean, as far as that, it's just them two things that going on. You know what I'm saying? And the people at the top
Facts.
will continue to do what they need to do to maintain that. So they would use words like civil rights. You know what I'm saying? And we fall into that whole concept of civil meaning human rights. They're two different things. You know what I'm saying? When you human right, you got quote unquote God given abilities or whatever based on that itself. But that civil mean is all about governing. That civil mean let me govern you a certain kind of way. I'm gonna give you certain type of freedoms or whatever. You still pay taxes, you still do all this other shit, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of certain kind of rights. So that's what it comes down to, man. It's not about human rights at all. They don't care about no human rights, man. Don't give a shit about none of us, really. But particularly black folks.
Which is interesting as
So
shit. It's interesting.
yeah.
Go ahead, keep going.
So yeah, that's where we at be with the thing, man. Jerome made a good point. Made a hell of a point. Civil rights and human rights. Yeah, two different total things, man. You know what I'm saying? When Malcolm X went to Africa when he wanted to bring, you know what I'm saying, United States to the United Nations and deal with the human rights and stuff. Oh hell no, you can't do that, dog. You can't put us out there like that. No, you can't do that. We gotta take you out for that shit because you're doing too much right now. I'd rather you come back home and give us a little hell of a whatever and
Right.
but when you went to the United Nations and talk about human rights and soon the United States, it's a whole different ball game, man. Yeah, you're dealing with some powerful stuff when it comes to human rights and civil rights.
It's two things.
Two
So
different
Like
basically,
when you
politics.
talk about
Yeah.
right.
so what changed?
Yeah.
What
When we
made it
talk about
become?
Malcolm X,
Go ahead.
and
Mhm.
he's talking about, and when he's talking about human rights, that's it. To talk about human rights talks about you outside of the system, and so he doesn't want. They didn't want you to equate yourself to outside of the system. That's why he had to be executed. When you look at uh, Martin Luther King, he got when he started talking about economic freedom, another thing that takes you out of the system. So you have a place in this system that you fit where you give money. You have to be a consumer. And when he started talking, us, we used to be the producers. We used to have this land. It used to be our land. Oh, they had to execute him because everything they
Of
talked about was
course.
taking you out of the system.
Of course.
Right.
When they fuck, yeah. When they start messing with, I mean, just go back to the Mississippi boycott, bus boycott. That shit crippled the whole community. It crippled them. When black folks stopped going on a bus, it crippled them to a point where you know what, y'all can sit where you want to sit at. It come down to money. So Martin King, one of his last books he wrote, I think probably one of his most radical one he ever did before. Might be one. And you know, he talked about this whole situation that you mentioned, Jerome, that you alluded to about economic freedom. And when he started, the two things probably got him killed was that the Vietnam War and speaking about economics and shit. But the economics probably was the most profound one because now he's shifting the game. He's telling us now, let's make sure that when he said one of his speeches, like, it's time for us to get our check. It's time to cash our check in. And once he started talking about economics, you gotta go, dog. You can't mess with our money like that. We need black folks to do what they do so that make sure that we make money off us. But when you do human rights, man, it changed the game of how you look at me and how you treat me. Because we both gonna be human, whether you're white, black, or whatever. That means that we have the same type of ability, same everything else. So you have to recognize that. But once you don't recognize that and start doing civil rights and everything else, it puts us down a little further beneath them. And that's what I would come down to, man, that they don't want us to be equal with them. And that human rights changes stuff, you know. And so that 1963, 64, 65 civil rights, man, it was meant for us, but it never turned out like that for us, man. I mean, even going back with Jerome said, 8 to 66, you know what
I
I'm saying?
think
When he, totally after, the Civil War and stuff. I mean, think about that. You talking about wordplay. Fucking Civil War? What kind of shit is that? That's an oxymoron. Fucking, is war ever civil? What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Civil War. Whoever civil, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to kill you, you about to
right.
kill me. Civil? That tells you right there itself. Civil fucking war. Come on, man. My bad. Y'all go ahead, man. I'm
Right.
listening, man.
Right. And I think no, you make great points. Um, I think too, understanding the system. We always talk about, we're in a capitalistic system, right? But
Right.
even inside whatever economic system you think we are in, there has to be people that are straight consumers, people that when you get money, you straight put it back into the system. They are the people that actually support the system, right? And so that's that's the real reason when they keep us dumb, keep us down, keep us unorganized, keep us without organizational knowledge, is to create the bottom portion of the system that continuously feeds back money into the system, so it creates those at the top's lifestyle, right? But that's why when Martin Luther King, when Malcolm X was talking about removing yourself from the system, they know how fragile the system is. We're the only thing to support it. We give it guidance and don't even understand it. We create styles, we create movements, but we just don't benefit from it. And so they were talking about how to benefit from what's being used on us every day. And see, when you start talking like that, that's why the execution had to happen.
Yo, it did. I mean, let's go back. Yo, let's look at Fred Hampton, prime example, right? Fred did something
Right,
that a lot of people do. That man brought the black community, a racist ass white community, a Latin community together, and started a fucking movement to about to change some shit. And them white folks so, oh hell no, you cannot. This is too much power that you about to have. You know, Hoover said this shit. I mean, he always said we can never have a messiah within the black community. We can't have that. So when Fred Hampton started doing what he's doing, it for changing the game and bringing people together, they can't help it. Our society only can function with the people at the bottom, big consumers straight up.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Our school system was designed strictly for that reason. It was a factory of workers. And what it was, a factory of workers. The school was designed to teach you basic stuff. You
right,
graduate,
right,
take your black ass or whatever, and go straight to the fucking factory shit. Even what's name said it. Rockefeller said it. He said, I'm designing the system just for that reason. I can't have thinkers, I gotta have doers. So that's why you see his name everywhere and
right.
how influence he is with everything else. Because he really redefined the system, him and Ford too. Both of them really had a hand in how to get workers to work. So to bring this back full turn to the civil rights, I mean, it's sad, man. Was it worth the shit? Was it worth it? Was it worth the people dying and everything for us not to really benefit from it to now? Was it worth it? You know?
Interesting, interesting. You said
You know what
something
I'm
that,
saying?
but hold
But
up.
see,
Uh-oh. Hey, I got a question. And you just made it, you
but
said something
hey,
that
yeah,
uh, it became a civil rights when corporations jumped in. Like Wheeler said, we need workers. We don't need thinkers. If you're thinking too much, you become a threat. We just need you to
Yep.
go out and do. And I think when it comes to civil rights, it's I got to protect these workers. I got to make sure these workers stay on point, stay on this. Because what you said is when you do go back and you go look at the top families, they don't work. They just created a monopoly that we just happen to fall into, and then we just happen to do all the work for them. So it's kind of like we're still under a certain, we're still under slavery, and we just don't want to admit that we're not. It just happen to have a different version, a different face. So when it comes to civil rights,
yeah.
is
I mean, listen,
go ahead.
let's say this. I, I got you. Say it like about civil rights, all right? To talk about civil rights, to say that you need a civil rights bill, you're saying it's your system. You're displeased with your position right now inside the system. I don't want to be free. I don't ever want to operate and produce on my own, but I'm just unsatisfied with how I am in the system. There's a reason why laws are written in Latin. You are in a Roman society. We don't want to admit it. That's what we don't want to admit. But inside of a Roman society, there are slaves at the bottom, there are freemen, then there are three other classes above that. So if you to say we don't get civil rights, they know you slave and they know you have a, because if you don't start thinking out of civil outside of slavery, you know, human rights, the people that were indigenous to this land, if you can't start thinking like that, you'll always be trapped in the same cycle. You're not going to get reparations inside of a system that was designed to keep slaves. How do you get reparations inside of a system that was designed to keep slaves? When would
You don't.
think about it? When they abolished the term slavery, when they abolished the term slavery in the 1800s, they gave reparations to the slave owners
Yeah.
just for abolishing the
Yeah.
word slavery. Think about that now, and how you think you
Yeah,
gonna get reparations inside of a system designed for
you
slaves?
no, you're not. It's not gonna happen. They pimp slap this shit. It's crazy. That tells you right there. They get a fucking slave owners
Look,
the fucking
man,
money
listen,
for labor.
Willa,
Yes, sir.
Willa, Willa. I
Yeah,
was born in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? I
me
was
too.
born in 1971. I understand what pimping is. I, we don't understand.
That's good.
We don't understand pimp talk to all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Who
man.
said
It's
they
pimping.
abolished
Man,
the
I
term
ain't even gonna go
slavery?
deep in that.
That's all it is.
uh,
It's pimping, man. Are we the bottom bitch or the top bitch? What it come down to?
no, when I say abolish the term slavery, I only mean that in our minds, you see what I'm saying, that we think there's not slavery.
I
It would
mean,
have
Now
to
I ain't
be in
talking
your
about
mind
physical
because
slavery because
you're right
slavery
about
still
that.
exists in the United States.
this, yeah,
Yeah, it's a book called
I know it. That's what part you come in on. That's what I was talking about. You know, we're
yeah.
we're inside of a slave system, looking for reparations from the owners to give us. You know what I'm saying? That makes no sense.
It don't make any sense, Jerome. You know what I'm saying?
Well, go ahead, brother
It don't.
Watro, and welcome.
Yeah, go ahead.
what's going
Go ahead, go ahead,
What's going
go ahead,
on, y'all?
Will.
Hey, how you doing, brother? How you doing, brother?
Everything's everything. How y'all doing?
Hey, man. We up, man.
That's all it takes, baby.
Yes,
That's
sir.
all
We
it
up.
takes.
We up.
You stand up, and you fight for another day. That's the game.
We here, man. Let's make it happen.
Yep, yep,
Go
yep.
ahead, finish your
Now,
point, brother. Then you can get in next, brother Watro. Go ahead, and finish your point, Will.
I'm cool.
Is it finished or is it still speaking? I'm gonna interrupt him.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
No,
You
go
can come
ahead,
in
go
after
ahead, go
him.
ahead, go ahead.
Oh yeah, like I said, there's a book called Slavery by Another Name. And one of the things after the so-called Civil War, whatever, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it went from that slavery to the jail, right? If you didn't, you know what I'm saying? If you wasn't working, they could pick you up and put you on a fucking another plantation to get into work and everything else. So slavery never stopped. It changed its name, but it never stopped. I mean, the prison system tell you already. That's slavery itself, prison. And they built laws. They built laws around that to get black folks to maintain to be slaves. And as of today, we're still doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? The peonage codes and everything else that came along with that. You know what I'm saying? And showed us that okay, I'm gonna tell you what the system is. So let's say, for instance, you standing outside back then. A cop roll up on you like, "Yo, do you work?" You say no. You get arrested. They charge you fines that you cannot pay because you're not working. So now you got to spend 7 years to pay for that fucking fine that you never could pay for. So everything was set up to maintain you as a slave. Think about a chain gang. What the fuck are you still doing? The slavery type of shit again. The system never changed. It changed its name and how it moved, but it's still slavery just the same, man.
Right.
So yeah, you're right, Jerome. You're good. So how can a system that was built on slavery, that benefited from slavery, got rich out of slavery, how can I fucking pay you back for that shit? I ain't gonna pay you back for that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Go
if I
ahead,
pay you
brother.
back, we broke. Because nobody else is gonna get the amount of money that we should get or whatever. Not the Japanese out there, you know what I'm saying? The camp shit, not the Jews or whatever. Not even the fucking Indians on the reservation. If we get our fucking money, we'll break the United States of America, man. We'll break them. They know it. We'll break the fuck out of it. We'll break them. Yeah, they owe us trillions of dollars, dog. They can't do that. They can't
Right.
do it, bro.
The Watro.
All right, now I didn't know that this was going to turn into a reparations conversation, but I will say this along that term, which goes along with the brother was saying. What they owe us, they can't pay us. They never will be able to afford to pay us. But the reason they can't pay us is because of the things that they've done to us over the course of time. Remember, they stole this land,
Oh yeah,
and they stole this land from us. 1921, we own still most of this land.
yeah, yes, sir.
Now, from the time of the end of the Civil War to 1821, we were the power in the South.
True
Or
indeed.
1921, excuse me. We were the
Right.
power in the South. We were in government. Jim Crow laws was established to try to strip us of the power that we already had,
You right.
which was the same reason for the Civil War.
You right. You right.
That I mean, the whole game is set up that way. But here's the problem with the reparations conversation. The reparation conversation wants to go to the United States government and say you did thus, so, and this. But they can't prove that the United States government did thus, so, and this to black people or African Americans. But you can take the American Indian claim and go to the federal government and lay it on their door, and there's nothing they can do about it because it was their policies that actually caused us harm.
Right.
So now to try to go get anything that looks like reparations under the false classification of black or African American is just ludicrous. Those things just got here. Black people didn't turn black until the late '60s.
You right.
They didn't
I'm
they
back
didn't
in little
turn
Riley life.
African American until the '70s. So how can these things have any claim for reparations when they just got here? And another thing about that Civil Rights Act, it has another name because that's the Indian Civil Rights Act
Right.
of 1968. But they don't never talk about who was actually lined out in that Rights Act. They just try to make it as a blanket for everything else that comes over here and use it to benefit them. But that's because you're trying to be something that you're not, so you can't exercise the full power of the document that was supposed to give you some degree of freedom in this country.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
That's the lack of understanding of the people, not the lack of understanding of the government. It ain't their fault that you don't know where you come from. It ain't their fault that you don't know who you is. It ain't their fault you don't know where you fit in this history. That's your fault. That's personal
Exactly.
responsibilities, which everybody tries to get around. But personal responsibility can't be trumped. That is the supreme thing. You have to do it for yourself.
Exactly.
And we're not doing it for ourselves. We're waiting for somebody to come along and do it for us. And guess what? We get nothing. As
You know what?
long as these so-called black leaders have been roaming around this planet trying to tell us this, that, and the other, there's been no increase. There's been a steady decrease. Because they're not here to be your leader. They're here to lead you somewhere, but it's not where you're trying to go.
That's true.
They just lying to you, man. And the first thing they lied to you about, and it just chaps my heart, is they keep trying to tell you that you black and African and American. And that's the most damnable lie somebody could come and tell you right now, because you're neither of those things. You are what your mother and your father were. And they were not classifications, they were people.
Right.
But you got away from being a people and
Exactly.
started being a classification. And then wonder why the world don't look right to you no more. Maybe it's because you don't look right to the world no more. And
Right.
your personal responsibility was to protect you and your lineage, and you didn't do it. You gave that over to somebody else.
True
And if you
indeed.
can't see that that is the root of the problem, and it's going to always be the problem, and you can run around here with your hair on fire as long as you want to, but until you understand that you're the one that made this mistake and allowed this mischaracterization to be going on,
Yo, let me ask you.
you had to fix it. Yes, go ahead, young man.
Let me ask you something, brother. If you've been trained to depend on somebody for so long, will you continue to be dependent on that person or that thing?
No, no, because you have to grow up. If you go back to that book y'all call the Bible, It says, when I was a child, I did childish things, but when I became a man, I put away my childish things. Because you was taught something in your childhood does not mean you have to continue that through your whole life.
Okay.
Just because you was taught something in your adulthood doesn't mean you had to follow that your whole life. Because you may have been taught a lot.
You know what, brother? That's too. I mean, all due respect, that's too simple. Okay.
Well,
What I mean by
okay.
it's too simple. When you got over 400 years of somebody telling you what to do, how to do it every day, how do you think your mindset gonna become? Is become a
400,
leader or become a follower?
400 years is a lot. And what your mindset becomes is always and will always remain with you. You become what you choose to be. If you want to choose to be a slave, then you will be a slave. If you choose to want to be a free man, then you will be a free man. It's your choice. You
How
don't
many
have to
people?
follow, you don't
Yeah,
have to follow none of that stuff. But
I
you
got you,
do
brother.
so
How many
because you
people,
haven't taken the time.
brother? How many people have that mindset that you know of?
How many people have not taken the time to develop the
That's not
mindset
my
that I
question.
have?
That's not my question, brother. How many people do you think had that mindset of what you just mentioned? How many people you think have that? Just not necessarily black people,
Very,
people in general.
very few. But
Exactly, right?
how many of these so-called black people actually sat down and done the work
If
to
you're not
get
a,
the understanding?
if you're not exposure is one of the greatest teachers that you gonna ever have, right? So if I'm never exposed to anything, how can I replicate that?
But
If
you're
I only know what
exposed
I
to
know,
everything. You're
huh?
exposed to everything. You choose what you want to believe and what you want to disbelieve. Because the exposure is there to everything. Education is free.
But exposure is not free, right?
Yes, it is. You can't get around it.
Right. So I
You
say
are exposed. You are in the country that exposes everything
no. So,
eventually.
hey, brother, you're missing the point. You still keeping it simple, right? I say, for instance, I never left my neighborhood growing up. So what every day I'm being exposed to in my neighborhood, everything in that neighborhood, right? Until I'm able to
Sometimes.
move, right? So I'm saying is that it's not that simple as people can do these types of things. When you've been brainwashed all these years, getting back to the civil rights, you know what I'm saying? The reparations and civil rights, they all tie together. They're not separate, you know what I'm saying? They're not mutually exclusive. They all tie in together, right? So even with the civil rights movement, it's a certain mindset that went along with that for many years that is still prominent today. It's not as simple as that. I'm gonna change my mind or whatever. If your mind never been exposed to the truth or knowledge, it's impossible to change your thinking. It can't be as simple as you just wake up one morning and change it. No, it's bigger than that. And what we've been taught as black folk, we've been exposed only to a certain uh, uh, um a minority of things that prevent us to move further. You know what I'm saying? And it's been designed to keep us in a certain mindset. It's not as simple as saying that I want to change my mind or whatever. It's not that simple. It's more complicated. And we have to realize that shit. Everybody would not have the same opportunity in this world. And one of the reasons of this is lack of exposure. Period. Rather it's
Now,
yeah,
now,
so
wait a minute. Hold on. 'Cause we got to back up. We got to back up.
okay,
I'm
go ahead.
trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how you can't be exposed to other thoughts and other ways of doing things. I don't see how you could miss it because it's everywhere. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all these different denominations of churches. We wouldn't have all these different uh, physical, these different processes. These thought processes, these educational processes. Where is the exposure lacking at?
What
You
let
got
me
a hand. Wait a minute. You got a handheld computer you walk around with every day
that's still not the
that would
same as
tell you everything you want to know. You wake up and ask the question, it'll answer that question. If you ask it, what's the human? It's gonna tell you a monster.
so brother, prime example, get on your computer, check out Mexico, right? It's right there at your hands. But what would be more profound is watching it on the internet or actually visiting Mexico.
What would be more profound is the actual trying to understand Mexico before you went there. Because Mexico is basically a failed state. And if you don't have some degree of understanding before you leave, you're gonna get caught up in that fairness.
Hey,
So
brother, you still,
you had to do your own research. This is the whole thing.
hey,
You had
brother,
to
you
do
missed it,
your own
right?
research.
I get you on that, but you still missed the point. You saying all this, but you did not answer my question. What would be more profound? Ain't about you doing, the pre-prep or whatever. What would be more profound? You see Mexico on the internet, or actually visit Mexico? What do you think would be more profound?
Because even if you went to Mexico, you only gonna get the part of the story that they want you
Hey,
to
hey,
have.
brother, you keep moving the goalposts.
And I'm not moving the goalposts. What you trying to do is come up with a hypothetical situation to actually try to answer an actual question.
No, I'm
Now
asking you a question.
what you need to do is reframe that question because you're trying
Hey,
to make it seem like if a person don't go somewhere, they can't know nothing, and that is not exactly true.
I didn't say that, brother. I didn't say that
hello,
would
wait
know
a minute.
nothing.
I think. Can I jump in? Can I jump
Yeah,
in?
please do,
I
V. Go
think
ahead.
I think this is. I think I see what you're saying, Willa. Because if we don't get it, what I mean exposure is, you won't know unless somebody educates you to know. And understanding the education system that we've been currently going through, you'll never know unless you step out and want to know for yourself. Because we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to understand the indoctrination that we are dealing with, and we still deal with to the day. I mean, we fight it every day. Is the fact is what we might know now is nothing that we was taught. It's something that we had to learn on our own. You had to step out
Exactly,
and learn this stuff. Because other than that,
exactly.
it's not getting taught. Who gonna teach you?
That's
Because if somebody
that's my
teaches you that, then they get the exposure. Is if I put this, like for instance, what we doing right now. If we putting out all this information out there that's facts, somebody gonna we gonna get attacked because they're gonna be like, for one, where you get that information from? Who told you that? Where you get that? Where you get them facts from? What it comes to the fact is everything has a theory behind it, or everything somebody will say, oh, I got this from this book. Well, who told him that? Or where did he get this information from? But nobody challenged the Bible. Nobody never challenged like where's that information coming from and why did we follow that to the T? Because this country, this civil rights movement is under that conditions because nobody will go against that. We got to go out and think about it. This goes all the way back to the Catholic Church beginning to understand this whole movement of why civil rights has a certain bad taste in your mouth. You see what I'm saying? Because of how religion has controlled us and indoctrinated us even more. Because think about it. Look at this country now. Everything has to be under these certain rules. Where did these rules come from? But I'm gonna back out. I'm gonna back off. Go ahead.
No,
Y'all go ahead.
but
I'm throwing
you're
something
right.
in there.
I
I want
mean, that's,
somebody to say.
yeah. I mean, let's bring it back home, man. Let's get back to the civil rights discussion, which is initially the topic. Getting away. I don't want to move the goalpost no more. What it is, man. But you made a good point, B. So your question was, who benefit more from civil rights? I would say white women benefit more from that, and we know why. You know what I'm
Brother
saying?
Rothro. Brother Rothro, who
yes, sir.
benefited from the civil rights movement?
Hey,
Right now, as we stand, the immigrants are benefiting more than anybody.
So
Affirmative
we got
action
white
also.
women, we got immigrants. Okay. I Jerome, what you say?
yeah.
Don't tell me he caught
I
up
got to stir
again.
the pot a little bit more. No, it's not me. You know, it's always B. It ain't me.
Now, that's what I'm
But
talking about. Shine some light on your face, man, so I can
oh,
see your expressions or something. You can't just hide in the corner. Hold on, man. We got to get this straight because homeboy be making me nervous. What's going on over there? Can you talk today? Wave?
yeah, I
Anything?
think he good.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just checking. You know, he'll
But
get caught up and you can't see him or nothing for a while.
Yeah, he disappeared.
I know that's right.
That motherfucker, that
But
motherfucker Houdini and shit.
I wanna chime in. I want to chime in on the one what Brother Willa is saying about what we're exposed to and keeping us in a system. I think because they understand the nature of the human mind, that we get set in habits, and we're also social creatures at the same time. That you could put a system in place, and we'll stay in that system mentally forever if there's no like outside influences that are too strong. But I think with what Brother Wathro is that you have to have the initiative to get out of this system, right? But I think that goes back, and I ain't trying to get too much in what Boyce was his philosophies, but when he was talking about like the talented 10th, he only thinks that like out of 100, there's only going to be 10 that have that initiative, that have that drive, that have that intellect to move
Of
themselves
course,
from
yeah,
one place to another. So, so I think you know both of you are exactly correct. I think y'all just looking at it from a different perspective, but I think both of you are correct. The system is designed, and it's not that the system is so good. It's just that the human mind is structured in such a way uh, that without that strong inside outside influence or that strong inside influence to make a change, you're not. And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
white women benefited from the most.
Well,
But
my
go ahead.
point, my point is simply this. Once you realize that you're in a system that is not designed for your prosperity, then it becomes on you to do what is necessary to change your circumstances. You see, you can't rely on somebody to come in and change your circumstances when you're not prepared to get out and try to change your circumstances yourself. My point simply is you have a personal responsibility to yourself to know yourself. And we don't learn ourselves because we too busy learning about everybody else's self.
Facts.
When we gonna take the responsibility to do what we need to do? When will we become the people who actually do the work that we need to have done? This is our personal responsibility. And until we get to the point that we can accept personal responsibilities, ain't nothing else gonna work.
I,
Dude, that
I,
was
You
I
are the
powerful.
driver.
yeah,
And I
That
think
was
You
I agree with
powerful.
drive.
that.
that in itself,
God, that was powerful.
I
Yeah.
think,
I,
go ahead, Willa.
No, I
Go
mean,
ahead, Willa.
I can't. I'm saying I'm not dismissing the brother thought process whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? As you mentioned, Jerome have a different perspective of that, but we pretty much on the same line on of what's important. And I agree with the brother. Until a lot of what I'm saying, going back to what I'm saying, Marcus Garvey and things of that nature. What I'm saying, what he done back then, and go a little further. Malcolm X and Nation of Islam, what they were trying to do. Self sufficiency and stuff, right? But we got to realize that all of us are not from the same tribe. Our skin color don't make us part of the same tribe. So how can you really organize people from different tribes to be one to do things that we should do to make sure the whole the whole system is changed based on that? We're a different tribe. We got different mindset and everything else. It's gonna be we may not see it in our lifetime of this happening. It may happen sometime down the road, but we not. Come on, man. We ain't gonna do shit, man. Black folks, let's be real. We ain't gonna do
Look at
shit.
that.
I mean, let's be real. We ain't gonna do shit. We're gonna talk, complain, everything else. We not, because we're different as itself within itself. We got different mindsets. We got different class. Going back with Jerome saying the time of 10, the boats. You know what I'm saying? When he wrote that book, and him and I think it was Sojourner Truth and other like that, who was part of that whole movement as far as the top 10 of black people being, what I'm saying, the smartest and everything else, and that can guide. He changed that thought process years later when he wrote a different book what I'm saying, refute his own initial idea about that. There's no way the top 10 can carry the rest of us. It's impossible for it to happen like that. But as black folks, man, we different tribes, we got different mindsets, come with different perspective, and we're not going to work together like that. It's not going to happen in that time frame, man. Let's be real with you, man. It's a sad thing. It's not going to happen like that.
That is a self defeatist attitude right there.
You know
Because
what,
think
you
brother?
it's
can't
been
say
doing.
you can't say what we might do in the future based on what we did in the past because the future has no bearing on the past.
Brother, I
So
said
we may not have gotten along then, and you are right about one thing. We are many different tribes, but then again, this whole country, if you look at it at its foundation, is many different tribes.
but
But
one
even
thing,
before the Europeans got here, hold on, even before the Europeans got here, the Iroquois nations had already set up the constitution that you living under today.
I agree with you. I'm saying
So we can be
five
we
tribes.
wait a
Yeah,
minute.
I agree with you in that.
No, we can be separate tribes and still work together for our own personal interests. That is not a problem. But we don't even try to do that. We just sit back and say, well, we can't be together. But if you go back to the 1960s and before, when we had no other choice but to be together, we became the strongest economical powerhouse in this country.
Okay, but what I'm saying,
But we
brother,
were
I
a
can just
lot, but we were diluted. We added milk to our coffee and we were diluted. Now we're not as strong as we used to be.
and I get that, brother. I didn't say that no, it's not defeatist. I said we may not see that, but it can happen in the future. We may not
It could
see the
happen
changes,
tomorrow. Ain't
huh?
tomorrow the future? Ain't tomorrow the future?
Come on, brother. That's be more pragmatic now. You really you really pushing the envelope somewhere else. Let's be more pragmatic. You know, good well tomorrow ain't shit gonna change, man. Come on now, you know that.
No,
Come
I
on,
don't know
brother.
what
You really
tomorrow
push.
gonna bring. Hey, I don't know what tomorrow gonna bring,
Oh
and
man, come on, man.
I'm
Come
not
on,
gonna
man.
try to limit. Hey, I'm not gonna try to limit the potential for tomorrow by looking at it from today.
You know what?
That's not gonna work.
Hey, give me your number tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna call your ass. I'm like, look, anything changed? You can be nope. I'm saying it's it's not.
No,
It's
I won't say that because actually, in the position I'm sitting here, everything changes every day.
you know what
We're
I'm
on a
saying, man. Come
cycle.
on, man. You keep.
No. I don't know what you're saying
Well,
because
let me explain
the
myself
people
then.
I deal with, we are actually changing things every day. We change things from our own personal selves all the way to our community selves. This is every day. We work every day. And if you work every day, you cannot fail. What's going on is we don't have enough people actually out here doing the work. If all the people that would set up here and try to point fingers at the problem would actually come in here and try to solve the problem, then we wouldn't have the problems we have today. But we got more people pointing fingers than we have people out here getting their hands dirty. We have to do this shit, man. We have to. We can't sit back and say they did this to us, they did that to us. We can't sit back and do none of that. Only thing we can do is get out here and start putting it to the grind and making it flourish like it will do, like it's always done. They
Can I
keep you
jump in?
down and out because they cannot defeat you on the playing field. That's why they can't let you on the playing field.
Ah, can I jump in right quick?
Yeah.
And
Is that, wait a minute.
go ahead.
Hold on. He's
Go
talking.
ahead,
Go
Bill.
ahead, baby. Let's hear this. No, I
No,
want to hear
I
you.
have
Come on.
no, I
No,
have
you
no
talking about
more.
me,
Go ahead.
Willa.
Go ahead, B. I have
No,
no more.
what I'm saying is it starts off okay. For say for instance, what we see happen in the '60s. It started off because of certain movements or certain we can say even Rosa Parks. That movement started a that little movement that she did as a personal became bigger and bigger and bigger. We, like you said, we are from different tribes. We just for some reason everybody on different mindsets, everybody on different frequencies. Nobody wants to. Everybody wants to. We back on this crap in the barrel thing when it comes to us. We stay in survival mode. We hate each other because we hate what we've been taught about us. Now, if we start teaching ourselves who the hell we are, like it goes back to Brother Wathro, and learn what we are. Like for instance, nobody wants to study your history and find out what tribe you come from because you're gonna go by other than what the other person said is about you. Like for instance, somebody say, "Brian, are you black?" I'll be, "No, I'm indigenous American." They be like, "Well, what that mean?" It's above your head. I ain't even trying to explain it to you because again, it goes back to the back and forth of I have to clarify who I am to you when I know who I am within myself. Just understand where I'm at within me. and then go from there. Nobody respects other than what has been labeled. These labels kill us, man. I mean, do I hate that? I mean, I
Cutting
love
out.
James Brown, but I hate that song "I'm Black and I'm Proud"
He never said it.
because
He
the
never said
mindset
it.
of
Go
it
back. Wait
did
a minute.
nothing
Hold on.
for me.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Go back and listen to that song. James Brown never said those words.
I'm black and I'm proud. That's a song.
No, that's a song, but he never said those words in that
I'm
song.
talking about the
That
song.
was the backup singers. Because you got to understand, James
Seriously,
Brown.
come on, brother Walter. You gonna
Go listen to it. Go listen to the song, baby. That's all I got to tell you. He cuts off his singing when that "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud" stuff starts, and then he picks up after that's over with.
so you tell me he used somebody else to say it because he didn't want to say it for himself?
He didn't have to say it for himself because he couldn't say it for himself because James Brown remembered that he was an Apache.
Oh my god.
You got me on that one, brother Walter. You got me on
Go
that one.
listen. Go listen to the song, baby. All you gotta do is listen to the song. James Brown never uttered those words out of his mouth. He was on the song. There ain't no denying that. He made money off the song. Ain't no denying that. But he did not say them words.
Okay. All right. I give you that. He didn't say it. He didn't say it. He didn't say it. But
He
damn it,
got
he
a
made
whole.
somebody else say it for him though.
Hey, I'll give it. Hey, he got a whole ass song called "I'm Black and Proud." Whether he said it or not, it's still attached to who the hell he is. It don't change the
Hey,
fact
that's
that
Pastor James
But look,
Brown.
but
Who
look
else?
at
Who
Pastor,
what
else
was
name
going.
is on
What
that
James Brown,
song?
regardless of whether he said
what
it or
was
not,
going on at that time?
it don't matter what's going on. The man, the song say "I'm Black and Proud," and that's his song. Period. You can't take that away from that shit. You keep trying to move the shit. No, the man's song say "I'm black and I'm fucking proud." Whether he said it or not, his song says this shit. He's known for this shit. You can't
Come on,
change
brother
that shit, man.
Walter.
You keep trying to change it. No, the motherfucker say his song say "I'm black and I'm proud," whether he said it or not. What the fuck, man? The fuck?
The song said. The song said. I can
I don't
say
give a
a
fuck,
whole
man.
lot of
It's
shit
attached to
too.
him, dog. You keep
That's
Okay,
his
it's
song.
cool.
doing.
It's hey. All I said is James Brown didn't
Man,
say
I don't
those
give a
words.
damn. No, man. No, you
I
can't
Okay.
do
give
no
you
more.
that.
Come on, man. You
I give
Okay,
you
that's
that, but
all
I
I
ain't gonna
said.
let
I
you
don't
go
know
farther
why
there
he's
though.
stressing so hard, but he didn't say those words.
I don't
That's
give a
all I
damn what he
said.
said. The song say "I'm black and I'm proud."
Calm
It's
down,
attached to
baby.
him.
Calm down. Calm down. Calm down.
No, I
Calm
can't.
down.
I can't
We
calm down with you, man. Cause you want some fucking
calm
fun, man.
down. Calm down.
What
Calm
the
down. Cause
fuck,
see,
man?
All right.
you getting
I mean,
all
the only
excited
reason why I
about
threw that
something
up
I
there,
didn't say.
I threw that up there for a reason because we keep changing who we are
Hold on,
as
hold
a
on. Let me.
person. But go ahead, Jerome. Uh oh. Go ahead, brother Jerome. Get it in there.
We don't.
That's
Go
right.
ahead,
Yeah,
We
Jerome.
yeah,
don't.
yeah. Uncle Rome. So,
Uncle Rome. My bad. Uncle Rome.
right. Can you hear me? Oh yeah, you good. So here's the thing. Uh, it all comes back down. We arguing about what our place is in their system. You know, it ultimately it's about removing yourself from their system. There's a reason why when they created these civil rights and these is that you fit in as what a minority. So that means you're fitting into a law system. So what does minority mean in the law? Minority in the law means a child, and a child cannot come into a legal agreement anywhere in supervised. And so if you keep claiming to be a minority, then you always have to be supervised, and you can't come into law for yourself. You cannot come into a binding contract for yourself if you are a minority. That is the way the law works. That's why it's written in Latin. You're in a Roman system. If you keep trying thinking you're going to break away from a system that was made to keep you enslaved, then your logic is a little bit thrown off. So my thing is removing yourself, becoming your own producer, and produce for yourself, live for yourself like you did forever in this land. That's all I got to say.
Personal responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, we've been,
You
you know what I'm saying? We've been self-taught going back, to Tulsa, going back to Redwood,
Yes,
whatever.
sir.
We always been self-sufficient. After, we got out of slavery and shit, we didn't know really what to do with ourselves, but we found ways to do that. So we always been self-sufficient. We built multi-million dollar businesses, in the 20s and, things of that nature. So yeah, we very self-sufficient. We can do shit like that. We can do it. But what happened was that they changed the game with certain laws and everything else, and how they did, that's going redlining, prime example. You know what I'm saying? red line and stuff. I'm gonna cut your part of the neighborhood off. I'm gonna run a goddamn highway through your shit. Then I change the game of how you live now. Now your neighborhood is no longer prosperous or whatever, things of that nature. So we always been self-sufficient, you know what I'm saying? And I know we can again too. Um, but it's gonna take, I don't know what it's gonna take, man. I have no solution I don't have a solution with this, man. I don't. I'm not gonna lie about shit. I'm not gonna make sure that I have no solution about how this shit can go about. I don't know. I'm open
Well,
for I'm open for that.
well,
Go ahead.
I got one solution
Yes,
Go
sir.
that
ahead.
needs to be implemented as fast as possible. We need to take the education of our children back from our enemies and start educating our children ourselves.
I agree.
The
I would agree.
first the
I agree with
first
you
I agree.
mistake
100%.
we made, the
I agree
first
with you on
mistake
that.
we
Yes, sir, bro.
made
You're right.
was
I agree with
allowing
that.
our children to be educated by people who were not out for their benefits, their mutual benefits.
I agree with you on that.
They
I can't agree.
they had a reason for that. But see, this is the problem. We allowed them by going for the integration program to be able to do that. We thought we was moving up, and really we was getting moved out.
That too. I agree. You're right. You're
You
right.
see,
I
so
agree.
the civil rights movement in 1968, because you got to understand that you actually caught the civil rights that they was calling themselves marching for in 1863 when the Civil Rights Act first came out. Because see, what you're dealing with in 1968, 1964, that's the second Civil Rights Act. It's not the first.
No, you're right
They were
about the first. You're
they were
right.
already they were marching for something that they already had, but
You're right.
that was not what they was marching for. They was marching for the access to the rights that they had already been given constitutionally. You see what I'm saying?
I
They
do,
wanted those rights. But in order for them to get those rights, they had to pay a cost. That cost
brother.
was integration. And integration is actually what destroyed us as a people.
Hey, brother. You said, yo, you made some profound statements. I
I
agree
agree.
with you. I agree
I
with
agree
everything you
with you.
just said. I agree with everything you just said because you made some profound points that exactly right. The education system, you're right. You know what I'm saying? Integration wasn't supposed to be for us to sit side by side with somebody. We just want the same fucking fairness. But it ended up becoming, as you say, we end up becoming integrated and it changed shit. You're right. You're right.
Well,
I agree with you.
you got to
I agree with you
understand
100%.
that because you brought Tulsa up a minute ago, if you look at the economic power that was generated in Tulsa at that time, you will see clearly why they came and had to destroy that system. But then again, you also have to understand that you're dealing with tribal land now, and there was oil up under that land. You go back in your history books and look what they call Tulsa, the oil capital of the world. Now, if Tulsa was the oil capital of the world in 1920, and these so-called Negroes owned the land in 1920, who
Yep.
had the money?
Yep.
Who had the money?
You're right.
And they couldn't get their hands on that money because we kept it locked up in our communities. The
You're
only
right.
way they could get only way they
You're
could get
right.
a hold to it was to destroy the communities. And that's the lesson they learned with Tulsa and all the other little black Wall Streets across this country, because there were many. But they
Yep.
knew then if we destroy that community, we can destroy this economic power and we can have access to this economic system that they're using.
You're
You see
right.
what I'm saying?
Oh, I see
This
what
is
you're
how
saying.
the this is how the
You on
whole
point.
game
No, you
got
preaching
played.
now. You preaching right
They
now. I
sold
follow you on all that
they
shit. Yes,
sold
sir.
the people they sold the people a bill of goods
Yo, I
that
follow.
had
Hey man,
no
everything you.
value in it whatsoever for us as a people.
I agree with you.
It was completely designed to destruct us. But now, after all the dust is settled, we have to go back and rebuild what we lost. And my point is this: use those vouchers, use those charter schools, use all these outside ways of educating your children now, thanks to this pandemic, and develop our own schools and start teaching our own kids our own history and not this fake stuff that they are suffering under right now.
Hey,
These
brother,
kids actually
you
out here
preach.
growing up
You
thinking that
preaching.
they're blacks and African Americans when they're not.
Hey, you preaching. Hey, brother, I have no dispute what you said. Everything you said was on point. Everything you said, I agree with you
See, but
110%.
that's that's the solution that we gonna have to implement now if we want to see changes 20 years from now.
That's a
Because
good
that's
point.
what they
Okay,
did.
so that's
That's
a
what
good
they
point.
did to us. That's what they did to us. They took us out of our schools with our education and put us in their schools with their education. And now you look at how mentally defective these people are coming out of these school systems.
And you're right. We had a better education system than they did. They realized that the kids that we had in
That's
that time
right.
period, you know what I'm saying, were more they were smarter. They was more educated and everything else. You're right. I agree with you, brother. I agree
And
with
then
you. I
they
have no
and
problem
then
with
they
that.
got integrated into the greater society, and their kids come up, and our kids go down.
I agree with you. No, I can't dispute
So
nothing you
they they
say.
were they were not on top until we put them on top. This is what I'm saying. And if we can put them on top, we can take them from being on top. It's all a matter of what we do. See, and we do things by doing things individually that all tends to weigh up to the same damn things if they had to go out and do everything as a collective. See,
See
our
now,
individual power has always been something that they could not deal with. So they had to figure out a way to break up our individual powers. This is why they give you all these classifications. This is why you were Negroes. This is why you were black. This is why you were African American. This is why you was every classification down the line. Because it's a war and they're out to win. And if we don't wake up and start doing for ourselves, guess what's going to happen to us? Because our kids is damn near to the point that they're lost now. If we don't do something soon, see what I'm saying? We're gonna
hey,
have
I
a
see.
real
Yeah,
problem. They need like that 1619 bullshit. Somebody needs to erase that off the map because that ain't even close to true.
I agree too. That 1619, I have that book as
See
well. You're
all
right.
that
I
stuff,
agree with you
but
on that.
because we get our education from somebody who doesn't have an education, we end up just as dumb as they are. So
I
we
agree.
think
Hold on.
1619 is real when it ain't.
It ain't. I agree with you.
True,
See,
true, true.
but
We'll
the
debunk that in a
education
heartbeat.
system, huh?
We'll debunk that whole situation in a heartbeat. Hey, I got a
Yes,
question. I got a question. Just listening to you, brother Walthrow, and when it comes back to we need to go back and study and research what we are. We give them the blueprint of our own land, and they took it. We
yes.
are everything that they do. All right, they came here to this country. They came here as immigrants. They watched what we
Starving,
did, and then they
starving,
turned around and they took over. Right now, as you
starving.
see, you see what happened. They seen the blueprint of Tulsa, Wilmington, Rosewood. They see all these black communities striving. That's what I said during the whole depression. We wasn't the ones under the depression. We wasn't starving. We always maintain to do what we got to do and build. Now all you have to do is follow what black people do.
What?
My bad. Follow what indigenous or we so-called black people. Let me throw that out there. You follow that our blueprint on how we continue and continue and continue to strive. We are the smartest people on this planet. We don't get credit for it, but if you telling us we can go through a bad school system and still come out is smarter than the ones that went through the same process. It's in our DNA. We just don't like it. We don't use it because we self-hate. We self-hate all day. Listen to what we listen to. Listen to what's on the news. I will make you hate yourself. We can even talk about my hair. Oh, your hair is nappy. My hair ain't nappy.
Yo,
My
I
hair
would.
is good.
Yeah,
But you
I
see what
agree.
I'm saying?
I
So
agree. Brother, Cutthroat wrote a book called Intellectual Warfare. I suggest that book to all of you guys. Intellectual Warfare, and it speaks on everything you're saying, B. But let's go back a little further, man. We have always civilized the others, right? Going back to Egyptian, when we, you know what I'm saying, when the Greeks came to Egypt to learn from, the school. You know what I'm saying? From Plato to Socrates to all them cats, man. They came to that and they understood our language. They understood our how we did certain things, and they took it back. Let's move a little forward. Go to the Moors, right? The Moors taught what I'm saying, people to be more hygienic. So we've always taught them how to be something that they've never been before. So going back to Rosewood and toast and everything else, we showed them that we're able to do what we do because we are gifted like that. We are blessed like that. We are them people like that. So um, they can't understand the fact of the matter that we're self-sufficient. We can be self-sufficient when we want to. You know what I'm saying? Now, how can we get back to that, in 2023? Because think about it, 1921 was a difficult time for black folks back then, more so than now. But they were able to, be successful and do what they do. How can we replicate that, what I'm saying, and make it better? Now, Brother Wolf made some good points about, the school system and things of that nature, which is right. We gotta educate our own kids and shit. That's a good damn start that we have to do. But we gotta find people who are willing to die for this shit, man.
Well,
Who willing to
now
die for this?
my point is this, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not willing to die for something that is not me. Now, if you want to talk about me dying for what pertains to me, we got a conversation. But I'm not finna die on that African hill. I don't give a damn what nobody say because that's not my hill. My people were right here. They wasn't over there. I don't know what the hell went over there because that wasn't us. That was them and their problems. And I wish they packed that shit up and take it back over there where they got it from. Because we was over here chilling and wasn't bothering nobody. Matter of fact, they were sick, hungry, and starving when they got here. Illiterate. They didn't know nothing. As my grandmother say, they didn't know shit from Shinola. See, so they wasn't as all this all powerful thing that everybody makes them out to be. When they got here, they
That
came
is
here
correct.
looking for medicine because they was sick.
That
We
is
wasn't
correct.
sick.
Yep.
We was healthy and doing fine in our own communities. We wasn't having all them conflicts they was having over there. We was cool. They brought all that nonsense over here and got us stirred up in that bullshit, and now we ain't cool no more. Because we done had to decide which one of these Europeans we gonna side with. Because you got to remember that whole landmass is one complete landmass. Afro-Eurasia is what that place is. Quit trying to think of it as three different places when it's only one. And all them people that came from Afro-Eurasia with that bullshit come over here and brought that bullshit after we got them healthy again, after we got them fed again, after we taught them how to plant food so they didn't starve again. Because they didn't come over here knowing nothing about that shit. They was digging bodies up out the ground, eating the dead, trying to survive around him.
They did. Yeah, them got them cannibals.
We didn't do that over here, man. We didn't have to do that over here. We had a good understanding of the land, which is what we still maintain to this day. How many places do you go in the course of a day that you never really pay attention to where you going? Because you just know where it is. You got a deeper understanding of the land that you stand on here. So need to understand what you standing on here before you even attempt to worry about what was going on over there. Because over there ain't us. And this is the problem because they done lumped us in with people who ain't us. Because them people over there, them is their own people. And they got the right to live their own life, their own way. I don't have a problem with that. But when you try to turn me into them, no, baby. We can't do that. Can't do that. I'm
Right.
sorry. I
Right.
can't do it. I'm going to have to stand with my people and let them people stand with their people. When the Greeks got to Africa, I don't care. I'm more concerned about when the Moors got to America.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Because
that's what I like to talk about. That's a whole
until
Well,
nother
you
yeah.
touched
Well,
ballgame.
hold
my
on.
house, I'm not
Yeah.
concerned. But when you came to my front door, with that bullshit. I'm gonna tell you now. I got a little house right here I'm in right now. Bring some nonsense through that front door if you want to. And that's what they did. They brought this nonsense to our front door. And then they so poor and hungry and stupid, they don't know how to go back home. So we left dealing with this nonsense. And after they get fed, fat, and happy, they gonna try to go call over some more of their other buddies who didn't get here till after the Civil War. Thank you. See what I'm saying? And then they start playing this dumbass game. Ask yourself, who was Bacon? And what was Bacon's rebellion? And what was the outcome of Bacon's rebellion? Look at the system that was built around you by people that look just like you.
The Bacon
Because see, when you
rebellion,
start
yeah.
talking about this, you start talking about this slavery bullshit, you got to go back and get understanding who the slaves was and who the slave masters were. Because, buddy, I'm going to promise you, in today's language, they look the same. Now, to us, I can tell us from them with no problem. I can do that shit at down there a half a mile distance. Just by the way they walk, I can tell if that's one of us or if that's one of them. It ain't that hard.
Yo,
But
elaborate on that,
that's
Jay.
because I can recognize a difference. You know, the brain is set up to recognize patterns.
It does. So, hey, can
Okay,
you?
well, I can recognize that there's two different patterns. So in my mind, it's two different patterns. That's two different people. Don't try to make me them people over there just because you ain't figured out that there's two different people running through this game. And actually, if you really do the count, it's three. But we'll keep it at two to keep it simple.
Let
See
me
what
ask you
I'm
this,
saying?
brother. When you making the distinction between the two, who are you referring to? Let me make sure I understand where you're coming from. You said
The so-called American Negro and the so-called African Black.
okay.
Because both of them is just crazy ass creations. The Africans that's in Africa now are not the original people. Every one of them migrated down there to it. Angola was a Portuguese colony in 1495. So either you're going to accept that the Portuguese was black or that everybody that came out of Angola was mixed. Because at
Well, we
that
know.
time frame,
Well,
I'm going to tell you, everybody done already did it go. And here's another thing. And this ain't even got nothing to do with you, young man. Don't even take this crazy. But I got to say this because it's been bothering me. I hear all the time that Africa is the most diverse country or the most diverse place on the planet. And they say that diversity proves that they're older. But that diversity actually proves that they're younger. As a population ages together, a population becomes more homogeneous to each other. They don't become more distinct from each other. In order to be distinct from each other, that shows you people who are coming in. See what I'm saying? So you can't tell me about Africa because the Africans ain't even from Africa.
True.
Otherwise, they would be more homogeneous. They diversity wouldn't be as diverse because we've been here together so long. And crossbreeding and intermixing has always been a thing. Now, I don't
True.
like the idea they trying to tell me that I come from something that looked like a monkey that went out and had sex with something that wasn't even a human.
That's white
And
people.
some kind of
That's white people who by the way.
I popped out. No,
Right.
you
Well, I
you
mean,
can't you can't you can't put them on me, man.
if you talk, I mean, if you talk to anybody that's from Nigeria, they'll tell you there's no such thing as a Nigerian because that's just a mixture of people that came in from different places. I mean,
How long?
inside of the
How long?
continent themselves. Hello.
How? Wait a minute. How old is the country of Nigeria?
about
That's
40
what I'm saying.
years.
It was only since the 1960s. But
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's my whole point I'm
Thank you.
making.
yeah, they
That's the
So
young.
whole
how you
point I'm
gonna be
making.
Nigerian? I know. I see the point you making. I got
Yeah,
that. Go ahead.
Yeah,
that
Go
the
ahead. Go ahead.
continent that the continent of Africa itself is it's always been about migration. I mean, always. It's never been settled, and that's why it is what it is. Over here, if you want to look at structurally how things are built, right? That's why I always talk about when people talk about the Egyptians and the ancient Egyptians. I said, they were, to me, they were lazy people because they took old technology, you know what I'm saying, and made their
Yep.
civilization what it was, and then the
Yep.
Europeans took it from them,
Yep.
because they were lazy.
Hey,
Uh,
Jerome, pause it for a second. What do you mean they explain that for me? You know what I'm saying? What you mean new technology from where and from whom?
okay. So if you look at say pyramid structure, because that's always what they go back to when you talk about Egypt. Um, if you look at how pyramids were first built, they were step pyramids, right? So
Uh
all
huh.
the step pyramids, the oldest step pyramids are in the New America, or what we call the New Americas over here. The oldest structures are over here. When you look at
Like the
even with
like
the
the Mayans,
pyramids,
like the
right?
Mayans.
Well, Mayans, Olmecs, whatever name you
Okay.
want to throw on it.
All right.
But when you look at Egypt, Egypt is like the youngest pyramids on the planet. I mean, you could go just down the Nile to Sudan. They have hundreds of pyramids,
Right. They
way
do.
more than what they had in Egypt. So that shows you that Egypt wasn't the first to do it,
Right.
right? So, and then, like I said, the oldest structures are over on this side of the planet. So that means that the builders actually came from here and went there, or if not them, at least the technology went from here to there.
Okay.
But that's not how you're taught. You're taught that it's from Africa to here, and that can't that just looking at
You,
it factually that can't be true.
you know what I always had a problem with that story with was crossing that Atlantic Ocean. Because if
Right,
you go on the other side and look at the Pacific Ocean, it's relatively calm. Because see, my whole
right,
point is that didn't nothing start in Africa because Africa is too young. And if you follow the way the sweet potato travels, you see
right,
that the sweet potato left Peru and went to those Melanesian islands over there and
right,
Polynesian islands. You see what I'm saying? You go back and look at
right.
what the Hawaiians look like. You see what I'm saying? And then you go over and look at what the Australians look like. And then you
Mm-hmm.
go and look at what the original Chinese look like. These people were all very dark skinned, nappy hair, if you want
Yeah.
to call it that, people. But they don't have African DNA. Because see,
What they
the
what they
honest
have?
way this
Hey brother, wait quick.
what?
What do they have? Because I'm trying to. I want to learn some shit today. Cause y'all, y'all bringing new,
All my
saying new shit to me today,
okay,
man. So tell me what you
all
what
my
they so where they from
all
do.
my point all my point is there is a different way to figure this mess out. The old blood group is called O because it's the original blood group. That's from over here. Everything else came from the people over here. They didn't come from the people in Africa. This is what I'm saying, bro.
Okay. So you saying
This is
that
what I'm
America?
saying.
So you saying that
Um,
the so-called America is original of our people all over
yes,
the world.
America is the true old world.
Mm.
And
I mean, I seen old
that
maps.
stuff over
Yeah,
there,
I mean, yeah.
that stuff over there is the new world.
I mean, I seen old
See,
maps with what I'm saying with Egypt and everything else. So I seen old maps of shit that's
I'm
been.
not even worried about Egypt. I'm talking about the fact that they already knew this place was over here. So the whole Cristobal Colombo, whatever his name is, that whole story is some bullshit. You see what I'm saying? We know monkeys out having sex with something that ain't even a human, ain't finna gonna produce no human being, so that mess is out the way. The
Yeah, we're
oldest
not going. Yeah, we're not
everything,
okay. Yeah, we're not gonna do
the
evolution
oldest
right now. So we're not gonna
everything
pause
on
it.
the planet, the oldest everything on this planet is over here. If everything started here, why didn't you?
That's very interesting. Hey, you know what? Like I said, y'all bringing new shit to me today, man.
Now,
I'm saying
well,
y'all
hold
bringing some
on.
new shit to me.
Let, let,
I got deep. I got to go
Hey,
deep
let me
into
let me
this shit because this is
let me
something
let
new
me
to me,
put
man.
let me jump in there, brother
let me put a
Marco.
little salt. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, finish. Put a little stank on it. Put some stank on it.
I
I'll
just
jump
gonna
in
say
after
I'm gonna
you.
put a little salt on it because the oldest mountain range in the world is the border between the United States and Canada. The second oldest mountain range is here in Oklahoma.
Mm.
We've been out the water longer than any other landmass on this planet. Those mounds that everybody talk about and disrespect, them things are older than anything on the planet. You talk about pyramids, what about the 60,000 pyramids in South and Central America
You
that
right.
predate that predate the pyramids in Egypt? What about Angkor Wat's? So
Yep.
you seeing technology leave from here going to other places.
This is very
You
interesting.
see what I'm
This
getting
is
at?
yeah. This is all new
This
to
is
me,
how
I
man.
mean, that's
I gotta
true.
go
this
deep
is
with
And
this. Y'all
that's
got me
this
on the
is how
rabbit
you
hole for real
see
now.
see this
This
is
is
how
crazy.
you see the migration pattern. Look at corn. Corn left here. This is indigenous crop to here. And the next
right.
time you see corn, it's
Rice.
in Turkey being called Turkish wheat. That's a
Rice
trade
is too.
network that does not go through the Atlantic Ocean. That is a Pacific trade route, which makes more sense. Even when you go and look at the Hawaiians and the Melanesians and the Polynesians, you will see that they had boats that they could sail on the ocean and go wherever they want to. They call catamarans. It's still one of the most stable designs for boats to this day.
It is.
That
I
is true.
agree. The Polynesian. Yep.
It
Yep.
was easier for people to leave here and go over there across the Pacific Ocean than it would be for people to leave over there and come over here across the Atlantic Ocean,
Right.
Mm.
Atlantic
especially in a
Ocean.
wooden rowboat.
True.
Understand, especially in a wooden rowboat. You seen the Atlantic Ocean? Because that bitch is mean.
Real mean.
And she don't have no respect for no wooden boats coming across there. Metal ships will have problems out there messing around on that boat. I mean on that water. But if you go across the Pacific Ocean, you can actually hopscotch from island to island to island to island until you hit the mainland of Afro Eurasia. See what I'm saying?
I got you.
It
I'm following
makes
you.
Hey,
I'm
more
following you.
sense. It
Come on,
makes
Jerome.
more sense.
What you got to say,
Go
Jerome?
ahead,
nah,
Jerome.
no, no. I was just gonna jump in because I know I always hear people talking about Africa and our roots and our history and our strong culture. But even if you were into that, what is the greatest city that they had in Africa at that time? It was Memphis, right? Memphis is where religion, Memphis is where technology, structure, all these things come from, right? But you can't find a city called Memphis in Africa, but you can find one in the United States. And the
Yes, you
one
can.
that's in the United States, they actually, when the Europeans took that city or took that place, they built replicas to it. You can go see a replica of a pyramid. You can go see a replica of a pantheon because they know the history. We don't. The greatest, the greatest African city has always been in America.
In 1860, wait a minute, in 1860, there were 12 places on this planet called Africa.
Right,
11 of them was over here.
right,
So when they say we brought somebody from Africa, your next question got to be which one?
right.
See,
They just
because
moved you around the country and kept you
yeah,
disorganized. That's
that's all
all.
it was. That's all it was. It's a big old hustle, man. And these people done sold us this hustle and this bill of goods to the point that it's actually hurt us now.
Right.
Because now we done forgot exactly who we are. And since we done forgot exactly who they are, what they do, they go find somebody else and try to plug them in and say, well, you them peoples.
You,
But you're
you know
really
what I
not
see it
them
is, brother
people.
Wathrow? You know what I see it is, brother Wathrow? It's
What's
like
that?
the shell game. It's like the shell game. I got three shells in front of you, and I keep moving them around and showing you a card. And then I want you to tell me which card is under this shell. right? That's how they done us. They kept
Yep.
moving us around, and we didn't understand what our history was because we don't even understand the last place that we was moved from, and we were all still in the same country, but it's just the shell game, and they keep
Yep.
showing you a card and asking you to pick the right one. See, they keep giving you these names. They give you black. They give you Indian. They give you color. They give you, and they ask you to pick the one, and you got to find out what history is under that same name. You don't know because you were never called those things. You were never those things. You keep trying to define something that you're not. That's impossible to define something
So that's
that you're not.
hey Jermaine.
Why are
So let's bring it back to the original topic. How does that affect us as of today, based on what the topic is?
I can jump in on
Okay.
that one. We
Yeah.
put
Okay.
ourselves,
Okay.
we limit
Go ahead.
ourselves.
Go ahead.
We limit ourselves by being part of a culture or
Go
being
ahead. I
part
come
of a
back.
system. We jumped into, we wanted to be, because we seen what the system destroyed. We look at the, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. We kept, it's kind of like you keep getting beat on and beat on and beat on. It's like, all right, all right, all right, all right. I just want to be part of you. Hey, let's agree. This is what we are, and this is why we're in the position that we're in because we joined forces. But you gotta, I mean, think about it. Look at it. Go back to the 13th Amendment. If you're born here, you're born here. Why did you need to be part of that, whatever, say, fraternity or that group? We joined forces with them to make those numbers, and the more we join, the more we lose our land. Land is so big. Owning land means so much that they would do anything and everything to take it away from you. So once you join under their cause, under their movement, basically that's what we did. We lost everything because we substitute to what they want. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
Am I right? Did I hit on it?
Yep.
Oh, all
You
right.
got it just right.
All right.
Okay.
That is
I
exactly
digress.
right. No, you didn't. You progress. That's not a digression. That's a progression because at least you see where the game was played on you at. Now you know how to go about and start looking at ways to rectify that part of it. And it always struck me as kind of curious how we the only people in this country that every 10 or 20 years ago, so we get called something different. What we gonna be after they get through with African Americans?
And that's the
What?
bullshit Jesse Jackson put us under, but
Yeah, but
that's a whole different story.
what classification is that? Is they gonna take the African off and you just be American? Or are they gonna take the American off and you just be an African? Or is it just gonna be something totally new? And why does it have to keep changing? Why come my classification is not the same as my grandmother's classification, who wasn't the same as her grandmother's classification? You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
every time they change your name, they take you away from something. They're not giving you anything. So when they put you on the black, understand that took you something away from you. And when they got all of that from
Hey,
you, then they changed you into an African American and took some more stuff away from you. So every time they
like I
change
said,
you, you lose something. That's what Jerome was just saying. Every time you get
yeah,
changed, something comes up missing. And after a while,
it's the
you really
shell
don't
game.
understand. You don't exactly. It's exactly. And see, this is where you get to the understanding about that crabs in the bucket nonsense. Because a bucket is not a natural environment for a crab. So instead of worrying about why the crabs is trying to get out, you might need to worry about who keeps throwing them in this damn bucket.
Right.
See what
Exactly.
I'm saying? And do something about
Exactly
him
right.
putting them in the bucket so don't no more crabs end up in that damn bucket. So you can't run
Exactly.
up to me and tell me crabs in the bucket
See,
and try to make me
I
think
know.
we look
I
bad
know that's
without
right.
somebody telling me about how them crabs got in that bucket first. Because when you understand that the bucket is not the natural environment for a crab, you understand why they fighting so hard to get out the damn bucket.
Uh,
exactly.
who put the
So
I
Hey,
crabs
people
you
don't
in the
need
even
to
know
go
what
back
to
bucket?
to our
say after that.
episode on that.
That's a goddamn
We
dilemma
did
right
an
there.
episode on that. Yes, sir.
Damn.
Who put the
that's the
goddamn
one thing,
crabs in
man.
But
the barrel, man? Who did that?
I can't stand to hear that statement when somebody says that. It chaps my daggum hide because nobody ever questions how the hell they got in the bucket.
That's a good
exactly.
goddamn point, brother. I swear, that's a good. Who put the
Damn, that's
goddamn
a
crab in the
damn.
barrel in the
That's
first place? That's
See, that's why you can't get out the bucket because you don't know how you got in the
oh,
bucket.
that's a
Come
good
on,
damn.
baby, let's
That's a good
talk.
damn point. That's a good damn point. Who put me in this goddamn barrel?
Well,
You right about that.
listen,
That's
But
a good
you're
damn
gonna get
point.
dressed anyway.
That make a lot of damn sense,
I
man.
mean,
That make a lot of damn
yeah.
sense.
I mean, it's a great
Well,
point. You know, to me,
I'm just trying to figure that one out because that one there gets on my nerves. I'm not even lying.
That's a good damn point. Who the hell
see
put
That
me in
that
the
shows that
that's
goddamn
my
shows
barrel?
whole
me
point.
that just
Oh,
shows me that ain't nobody paying attention to what the hell they saying no more.
Exactly.
Because the people who bring up the crab or the bucket is the very same people that ain't never tried to figure out how the crab got in the bucket. See, some this feeding
that's
on
so goddamn
itself.
true, boy. Uh,
See,
But
so quit
you know,
fussing
that's
about the bucket and the crabs and try to fuss about the other thing, man. Get them
exactly,
out the bucket. You
exactly.
want to do something, free them.
That's the point.
damn.
That's the point I'm talking about with when we talk about with civil rights, right? You know, you're talking about being inside of a system. You're talking about being inside that bucket. Why are we talking about opposition inside of a bucket? You know, we need to be talking
Exactly.
about how do we live outside in our own
That's exactly.
conditions.
We've been inside the bucket so long, we done forgot that outside the bucket we don't have to fight.
mm,
Exactly. You
Outside the
know, like I
bucket,
said,
there's enough room for everybody.
yep.
if
You
so
see?
you're telling me that these bucket holders came over here and they seen us out here living a life at a certain way and said, you know what, I want to live that way. Let me just put them in this bucket and I'll live their
No.
life.
You know
It
what
was
I'm gonna tell you?
reversed.
No. What I'm gonna tell you is this: some of them came over here and joined up with some of us, and all of us ended up in the damn bucket because they in a
Yeah,
bucket too.
that's true.
It just happens to
That's
be that
true.
they ain't seen their bucket yet. We done
That's
got
true.
the advantage that we can see our bucket, but everybody's in a bucket.
You
And
No,
know what?
we
they classify them buckets based on the color or the
that's true.
supposed color of your skin.
Hey, brother. Hey, you know what? You made a good point earlier. We talking about the Beacon Rebellion. That was very crucial what you're
See
saying
that
right now.
beat?
As everybody, because at that time, you had poor white folks, indigenous service or whatever, and black folks working together dealing with Beacon. I'm saying his end goal wasn't for everybody. He was selfish or whatever. But anyway, we came together for that reason. There, you know what I'm saying? We all in the same bucket. You right about that? That's
Yeah,
going back to the Beacon
yeah.
Rebellion. You right.
Well, now so you understand why they had to make the buckets. Because before Bacon's Rebellion, everybody was standing there doing the same thing, living the same life, and getting
Yep.
pissed off about the same circumstances. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
sir.
okay, let's put them in these buckets, and then we'll separate these buckets.
You know what? And
That
then
way,
what
we
happened
don't
too?
never have to worry about this happening again.
You know, and then what happened too? Because after that rebellion, what happened was then the white whatever they told the Italians, the Irish, and everybody else. You know what? You are white.
No, no,
No, I
hold
thought
on. No,
that's
no,
where you get
because Italians wasn't considered white folks until recently.
But I'm saying
until
See
like
what
like the
I'm saying?
1930s.
yeah, there
Until
was
like the
Yeah,
30s.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Irish people in some places are not considered white to this day. The
You know what?
question that, well,
To
hold
make
on,
their
I'm gonna
system
let you
work,
have it.
yeah, to make the
Well,
system work, they could not have black folks and poor white folks coming together. So they, you know what
right,
I'm saying?
right, right. Now
You know what I'm
on that
saying?
point,
Right.
right there, I agree. But the problem becomes who is white. You see what I'm getting at? Because what you see with Bacon's Rebellion, and what I was trying to get you to see with Bacon's Rebellion is the very birth of white people.
Hmm.
Before Bacon's Rebellion, there was no such classification for white.
I agree. That's
So
what I'm
there
saying.
couldn't have
Exactly.
been
I
no
agree. Exactly.
classification for black either before Bacon's Rebellion. See what I'm saying?
Uh huh.
Everybody dealt with their own nationality. You see, and then they
Right.
created a group of people that they considered to be white
Exactly.
and put
That is
them in a little bigger bucket. than the bucket that they put these so-called non-whites in. Because see, the only two classifications you had was
Mm-hmm.
white and non-white, and the whites had a bigger bucket than the non-whites did.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a little bit more room to move, but they still in their damn bucket. You see what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Right.
A gilded
That's
cage is still a cage. You
Right.
see what I'm getting
you know
at?
what.
Oh,
So
I see where you're coming from. Yeah,
Let
I
me
do.
put a
I
point
do.
right where
Yeah.
you at. Let me put a point right where you at. That's why I talk about when you look at the Roman system and the five classifications of groups, the two bottom ones are freed men and slaves.
mm,
That's where have you ever heard any different talk inside the United States? Even black people go, well, we were free. We were freed men. No, you still at the bottom of a Roman system
mm,
until
mm.
you remove yourself from that system entirely. We're going to be having these same conversations because when we articulate what the problem is, the number one problem is you being inside of this system. Yeah.
The number one problem is you not knowing your position inside this system. Because the
Even if we knew,
position that you
they ain't
occupy, well,
free.
now the position you occupy now is not the true position you supposed to be occupying. And part of the deal, and this comes back to this personal responsibility, is you allowing yourself to be in a position that is not yours. I cannot be your African American because I am an American Indian. And when I start moving and grooving as I am and not as you wish me to be, then things start to change in your personal life because it changes in your personal attitude. You see? And then once everybody makes that same change and gets that same attitude, guess what happens to these problems? They go poof.
Right.
Because now you out your bucket. But while you are agreeing to be this and be that, you're actually agreeing to stay in that bucket and keep fighting.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So when you decide to be who you are supposed to be, who you were born to be, who you truly are, then that takes you out that bucket and allows you to see the greater that you've been missing all this time. That's a mental change, a psychological change that has a ramification on every aspect of your life. See?
True indeed.
So we got to
I don't
get
know
back
what
to
else to
where we
say,
supposed
man.
to be. I'm just
Learning
glad you
so much from
talking,
this
baby.
shit. I'm
I'm
learning
just
from
glad
this.
you talking. You you ain't blinking, you ain't waving, you ain't taking no double sips of
Hey,
coffee. I mean, you just right there,
hey,
baby. And when you open your mouth, I hear words, and I
that
can
motherfucker.
see
Hey,
your head
he
bouncing back and
smiling now. He
forth.
may not say
Yeah,
shit, but he's smiling. He got a
no,
chest cat right now. The fuck,
hell,
what
2 weeks
we
ago,
doing right
man,
now?
I thought we was gonna have to send out the FBI over there to
That
rescue
motherfucker,
that boy. He looked like he was being held hostage.
that motherfucker. Hey,
Y'all
you know what I'm
wrong,
saying?
man.
Hey, yeah, man,
Y'all wrong.
Somebody
you
on
need
the
to get
other
some
side
help,
of the
man.
camera
Is that what it
had
is?
him draw down on, man. I told him all he had to do was blink, man. We'll come get you.
We come and get you, motherfucker. He's smiling now.
Yo,
That bitch got that chest cat right now. He's smiling his
yo,
ass off
man,
now.
y'all.
He's still living. He's still living, brother. He's still,
No,
he's
for the
still there.
last couple, for the last like 3 weeks, dude, I've been having like mad audio problems, and it's interesting today that we can get this deep, and I mean we deep, fellas, and I mean I appreciate y'all. That's why I said this is a Sunday brunch. This is a man Sunday brunch, man. We just learning. I'm learning. I never thought about the Pacific Coast, dude. You didn't kill me with the.
Yo, he
We
got
keep
me
thinking
too.
about the
He got me
Atlantic, and
too.
we
He got me.
don't never.
I'm about to go
I,
digging right now, boy.
I,
In the
I gotta
goddamn
go
record
dig.
crate, boy. I'm going
I
right
Wait a
now
gotta
to
minute,
the
go
wait a
record
minute.
dig.
crate.
While you digging, wait a minute. While y'all are digging, and I'm glad to hear you digging because you really need to. You need to go and dig up something called the coolie slave trade and see where all these folks got here.
Cooney, Cooney,
Because
Cooney,
Yo,
Cooney.
there's a hijack
hey
in that
brother, I'm
coolie
a
slave
research.
trade.
I'm an open book. I'm a clean slate. If I don't know shit, I'm gonna learn it. You tell me something, I'm gonna look for it. You're right. I'm dig. I gotta dig, brother. Where gold is at?
Yeah.
You dig, you find gold, man.
That's all I want you to do, man. I mean, that's all I really want anybody to do. That's why it's your personal responsibility to do it. And that's been my song this whole time. Now I got another song I sing that gets on people's nerves, but I'm telling you, these African Americans and black folks is stealing our history every damn day. And that needs to stop.
I agree with
There
you,
is no African American history in this country. He just got here a couple years ago. How he got history? Where he get that from? There is no black history in this country. He just got here in the 60s. Where he get that history from? And the only place he could have got that history from is the American Indians. They stole our history and gave it to something else, a creation that they made up out of thin blue air.
hey
Oh, I'm
brother.
researching this week.
Hey brother, have
Thank
you ever
you.
read the book The Secret Relationship Between the Indians and and the Africans?
Ain't no relationship between the Indians and the Africans
No,
unless you
no, I
talking about the Africans, unless you talking about the Africans enslaving the Indians.
no. Have you read that book before?
No, I ain't read that book because that book is not something that I would find interesting because I know that anything that does with an African story here in this country is some nonsense. They only let 4, 5 of them get here in a time. Better check your sources, man. I'm telling you, them Africans, them was the slave owners.
Okay.
We got to talk about this. Them was the slave owners. They got you in here celebrating the people that was actually sent here to destroy you.
Mm.
It was them American Indians and them poor ragged ass white folks that was working down on them plantations, baby. That's who them folks was. And all them so-called Africans, they sent them to South America.
To
Ain't but a
Brazil.
few trickled up here. And then
Brazil was one of the biggest.
you can't even claim that they came from Africa because there was 12 places named Africa on the planet. But if you was gonna come from Africa over here, it's easier to come through down there where Africa and South America get close to each other.
Wow.
But once you
That's
sail up the
true.
coast of South America, your boat full of shipworms, and you finna hit the bottom of the ocean.
So you telling me there's
That
no
part.
Africans that came over on the ship?
What?
Was there any Africans that ever came over here?
They didn't come
Yeah.
across the Atlantic Ocean.
Where they
This
come
is the
from?
problem. They had to come from the east coast of Africa. And that would tie into history because now you're dealing with the sub-Saharan slave trade by the Arabs,
Uh-huh.
Or your
where they were
Moors.
taking people to the east side of Africa and bringing them in over there. The few that they brought here.
It's not a lot.
But
It's not as many as
that
they say. There ain't no
no,
15
it
million.
is no, no, at no time. Africa couldn't even sustain that population loss at that time. It wasn't billions and billions and billions of folks running around there. It was a handful of folks there, just like it's a handful of folks here on a big ass landmass
That's very
that was
interesting.
known as, and until the invention of quinine, Africa was actually known as a white man's graveyard. He had 2 weeks from the time he got off his boat till he was dead.
Hey brother, let me ask you this then. How did so the Africans that are actually in so-called Africa, how did they get there?
They migrated in.
They migrated in from America?
No, they some of them came from the Europe. Some of them came from Asia. Basically, all of them came from here because if you follow the migration pattern, they started out here, ended up in Asia, and then moved on into Europe and Africa. Actually, they
Okay.
moved into Europe before they moved into Africa. You see the migrations going into Africa. The migration out of Africa, that's part of a theory. That's the out of Africa
That's a very
theory.
that's a very good
But
that's an interesting theory that you got there. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Hey,
interesting.
let me
it's the only
let
thing
me
that
jump
makes
in here
sense.
with you then.
Go ahead.
Let me jump in here with
Come on.
you. Okay.
Come on.
Uh D. Will, D.
Yeah.
Will, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So we'll use the term indigenous America or melanated people, right? They're all
Okay.
over the United States, correct? Correct.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
So think about how culture moves. Think about how culture moves. So if you look at West Africa and what is West Africa, you see that culture, right?
Uh-huh.
So where do you see that culture inside the United States?
What culture? I'm sorry. I didn't follow you. Say
Like
again.
West
What culture?
African culture and the African culture. Where do you see it in the United States? Do you?
I mean, I see it. You know, I'm from South Carolina. I see it.
Okay.
I see it
That's
mostly.
perfect.
I see
Go
it
ahead.
mostly like on the islands, like Hilton Head and things of that nature. You see a lot of that West Africa is still prominent within the religion and everything else. So I
Okay.
see that more prominent probably in that area. Yes.
Okay. So now we're talking about like maybe near Charleston,
Yeah.
port
Yeah.
city, a port city, or
Yeah.
near New Orleans, a port city, right?
Right.
But you don't see it anywhere else prevalent in the United States. But now if you went to Brazil, I mean that whole culture looks African,
Right.
right? So it makes sense to think that there were no Africans over in the United States, or that culture would still be prevalent. You don't see the culture prevalent. So, but you see it in South America. So you know that
Hold on. Well,
Africans were there.
let me back up for a second. Well, yeah, you do see it. I mean, you see it a lot in Brazil too, with the I forgot what it's called. You see a lot of West African and African in Brazil, just as well as anywhere else.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. That's
Okay.
exactly what I'm talking about. I'm
Right.
saying, so you see the African connection to Brazil,
Right.
but you don't see the African connection to the United States. So if all
You
these
see it
people
at a
were brought
small
from
region, a
Africa
small,
to the United
small piece.
States, if all these people were brought from Africa to the United States, there should be a bigger cultural undertow. There's not a bigger cultural undertow because there wasn't that many Africans brought to the United States. That's
Well,
the whole point.
I mean, I can't say that you're wrong. If you go down south, you see it more prominent than anywhere else. You see a lot of
But
the West African
the
history.
only reason you see African culture is because during the 60s, you were prompted to push this African culture.
Exactly.
During
Exactly.
during the late 70s, the 80s, that's when you see this Black Power movement, this almost the Back to Africa movement that they tried with Garvey. You see these things pushed inside of our culture, but think about it. If it was our culture, wouldn't we have gravitated to it? Wouldn't we have latched onto it? Wouldn't we still be teaching our kids these things? But we don't
When
because
did
it's not
Well,
our
hey
culture.
I mean, well,
when did they take the dashikis off?
well,
Right.
I mean, we know about the dashiki. That's not originally from African concept. Any fucking
Yeah, but that's because see, I remember the times that he's talking about, and he's exactly right. That became a real heavy push in the '60s, real heavy. And all of a sudden, you seen all these things that they was trying to claim was African culture, and this was African culture, and that was African. They said the drums was African culture, and all that stuff. There, they tried to attribute everything we was doing to an African culture. But that culture, just because they say it's from Africa, don't make it from Africa. That was our stuff first that they tried to make us believe they could hijack and give us somewhere else to go. So yeah, it do kind of fit in with that nonsense Marcus Garvey was over here talking about, because the whole plan from 1790 something was to get you to colonize Africa. They had a whole American colonization society going on. And when I hear this Back to Africa movement, I think of the American Colonization Society because it sounds just like them.
well, they did that. I agree.
Libya. I think Libya is
They preached
one
that.
that is a city that has a bunch of
Yes,
people from here that's there. Libya is one of the big ones.
Liberia,
It's
Liberia,
Yeah,
Liberia.
My bad. My
yeah,
bad.
Yeah,
Liberia.
Liberia is an American colony,
it is.
and Sierra Leone is a British colony.
Right.
See, those people are actually American people. So when they give you a DNA test and say, hey, your people come from West Africa, you got to stop and ask them. You got to
That's it.
stop and ask them how to get
That's
there.
true.
Because it might have got there during the American Colonization Society time in the 1700s. Wouldn't that be
That's
done
true.
distributed through a good part of the population by now? Because we know that the longer populations stay together, they become more homogeneous. So you looking at
Exactly.
American DNA that's living in Africa, and they trying to tell you and trying to sell you that these people were Africans, but they never were Africans. They were from over here. They
Hey,
keep dropping that part.
So
you
you
know what's
said you said
interesting to
you
me?
said almost a billion people came from here. Oh, I said billion. It could be a billion back then, but millions of people back then was removed from America to Africa and
No, it
stuff,
wasn't no
whatever.
millions. It wasn't no millions of people, but it was a large number of people. Each state in the South had a version of the American Colonization Society over or under the NGO that was known as the American Colonization Society that worked under auspices of the United States government. These is not speculations. This is all real shit here. And they took people from here to Africa. The exact same dadgum thing Marcus Garvey came up in here and said. The exact same thing that the Klan was working with Marcus Garvey to say. The same thing that every organization that you can think of today that's supposed to be in our community is still saying. The only people that are not telling you that you from Africa and you need to go back to Africa is the American Indians.
Okay.
Nobody else is telling you that. I don't give a damn which one of these organizations, these fraternities, these sororities, I don't care what you join. They all gonna give you that same old tired ass song that they can't back up no more now than they could back up then. But the object is the same. I need to get you from this land to some other land so I can claim this land that belongs to you.
Ooh.
Why did Biden just go give them African countries all that damn money? Huh?
Yeah, this is about
At the same time, they talking about giving all these folks this reparation. You better watch the fine print on that document when you sign it to pick up that check, because you gonna mess around here and find your ass on a hot ship heading straight to Africa with no chance of coming home. Then you're gonna be exiled in somebody else's land, and guess what you're gonna end up being then? You're gonna be the slave again, and you're gonna build that country the way they want it built. Because your bougie ass is not going to live without toilet. Your ass is not going to live without internet access. You're not going to live without television. You're not going to live without your radio. Everything you got, they want it over there because that place needs to be developed. But then people
We,
don't know how to develop it.
cause we
It's
created all
you.
that here.
It's
you said but
you
they have
that build societies. They don't build societies over there. They destroy societies over there. We build societies over here. You see what I'm saying? Now they need you to go build another society somewhere else. But we gonna pay you this time until you get over there and they destroy the banking system and your money is worthless and you stranded somewhere where you don't belong. You ain't got
I got
no
to
family over there in no
yeah, I got to get
cemetery
to
in
my
Africa. There ain't
yeah,
a cemetery over there got your folks in it. You gonna die and be buried alone in a strange land by
yo, I
strange
can
people.
yo,
He fucking your head up, ain't he? He fucking your head up.
no, he not because no, I mean there's no I mean he bringing some knowledge to me that I appreciate, but ain't no fucking way I'm believe that Africa was only there because we came from here to over there. I am hell no,
You
I don't
don't
believe
have to
that shit.
believe anything. That's your choice. You
No,
believe what you want
ain't
to.
no
You
this
got the right in this society to believe whatever
yeah.
makes you feel comfortable. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just
Free
that I have
predestined.
a different understanding of how things happen. Now, if you don't want to, bro, if you can't groove with my understanding, that's cool. I can accept that. But on the other side of that token, if I can accept you not grooving with what I got, that means you got to accept me not grooving with what you got.
Oh no, ain't no
You
tit
see
for
what I'm
tat.
saying?
Yeah,
We
ain't
gotta
no
be fair.
yeah.
You are welcome. You are welcome to have any belief system you choose to have. I have no problem with none of that.
That's your civil
But
right.
but
Ain't
in
no hey
order
yeah.
for me
Ain't
to
no
be
tit
able to
for
do
tat with
that,
that.
then
You know what I'm
you
saying?
have to accept what I'm saying as I say it.
Yo, you know what I'm saying? I respect what you say. You know what I'm saying? And I give it credence. Um, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna dismiss what you say. I just can agree with what you're saying. Oh, I can not believe, based on history and my everything I researched and everything, ain't no fucking way that everybody from America who black went to Africa. I don't believe that shit. There's no history to show
Who
me
wrote
that
your
shit.
history?
That's even, it's prominent. It
Who
doesn't make it
who
does not add the
who
fuck up. It does not.
who wrote your history? And why would those people write your history correctly? See, this is the same question people need to be asking about that Bible.
And that's my I'm saying the
Who
history
wrote it
that you
and
got, who
who
wrote that
wrote it
history?
and who wrote your history? This history that you spent all this time studying and researching through. Who gave it to you?
Yo,
And where they
black
get it from?
black scholars
Hey,
that
I think.
I follow a lot of black scholars that I've read and everything else, and it
Okay.
does not pinpoint that totally every black person from America went to Africa. No,
I didn't say
that does
every
not
I
happen
didn't
like that.
say every
Hey,
I did not say every person. See,
no, no, no,
this is
no.
a fallacy
I
in that
don't.
argument. I never said every person.
I
I
think.
said that there were some, but they're not the majority. They had never been the majority. They never will be the majority. And there's another other two ways about that. It's a few.
Yo, yeah, I don't see America being the origin
I
of
think.
black folks. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't line up with that.
Why?
Now we make
So it's wait a minute. It's easier to believe that a monkey had sex with a non-human than it
man,
is for you to believe that people came from here and went over there.
hey man, I don't believe no fucking man. I mean,
Hey,
that's why I just want to. I don't believe shit like that, man. No fucking monkey fucking nobody and getting no kids and shit. That's not shit there. But
I think.
I'm not
He
going that
talking
far.
about
But
Darwin's
I think. I
evolution.
think.
It's
We'll
Darwin's
see.
evolution.
yeah, I mean, evolution. I'm not going with the whole Darwin.
Darwin.
No, I don't
Darwin.
believe
First
no.
of all,
No, it
Darwin
doesn't.
didn't even come up with that theory.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I mean that's what
Darwin didn't
everybody
come up
goes
with
with
that
that
theory.
theory.
yo,
He got that from
biology itself
his
won't allow it
teacher.
to happen like that. It doesn't. That doesn't line up. I don't believe no fucking monkey fuck no other person. We come here. No, I don't believe that shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit's
Right.
out the
Right.
fucking
Right.
window. I don't believe that shit. But I'm saying that there's no
Right.
possible. I don't believe that there was no black people in Africa prior to America. No, I don't know. That doesn't. The
Oh,
history
no,
does
no,
not
No,
no.
line up with
I,
that shit, man.
I
no.
don't think that's what he's saying. I don't think that's what he's saying. Maybe I'm
I
listening
hope
wrong,
that
but
ain't
I
what
don't
he's
think that's
saying.
what he's saying.
Maybe I'm listening wrong.
Uh,
I'm sorry. Yeah, explain to me.
I think one of the missing components when we have discussions that we don't use is time. You know, this measurement, right? And how long we actually been on this earth, and how long we actually had time to migrate and to move around this planet. Um, when we talk about where we came from, I mean that's an interesting thing. I see somebody got in the comments genealogy, right? So they've done mitochondrial studies on people from around the world, and the oldest DNA, if you want to use that word, the oldest DNA that they found was a man in South Carolina, not a man on the African continent.
That's not true. That's not true, dog. That's not true. That's
Well,
not the
I'm
oldest DNA. The oldest DNA that they've reached, you know what I'm saying, that research thus far, even from Asian scientists, it goes back to Africa. It doesn't. It's Lucy. It don't go back to America. It goes back to Africa. That's the oldest one they have on the
Wait
record
a
well, I'm
minute.
right
telling.
now
Wait a minute.
that happened.
Because see, what
Right?
you're gonna have to do.
Uh,
Wait a minute. Hold on. What you're gonna have to do is go look up a guy named Albert Perry, because
Okay.
that's what the brother's talking about. And Albert Perry is gonna take that little theory and stand it on his head, because Albert Perry's Y chromosome, whatever the hell they call that shit, is 200,000 years older than anything that come out of Africa. Now they gonna tell you, well, they found his DNA in Africa, but they're actually kind of lying about that, because they said they found similar DNA in Africa.
right.
And when they
Right.
tell you that, when they start dealing with the DNA, if they don't tell you about the American Colonization Society, they're not telling you the whole truth. See what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Uh, what's
So
his
Right.
name?
that makes
His name is
Albert
what?
Perry,
Albert what?
I'm
Albert
What's
not
his name?
trying
Perry,
to.
Albert. Is
Perry,
Albert what
Perry,
now?
Albert Perry,
Albert Perry. Okay. Albert Perry. Okay. I'm
But
gonna look him
I'm
up.
not trying to
300.
dispute. I'm not trying to dispute the numbers because we're just not using the time component when we talk about number of people in places. Because people will at times exponentially grow. So you gotta look at the time periods. We're talking about over tens and tens of thousands of years that we've been around and moving on this earth, if not hundreds of thousands of years we've been moving around on the earth.
You better
Okay.
count that back. We've been out here for millions of years now.
And
If you ask
I
them,
mean,
I
I know
mean,
that I'm not trying to throw
if you
too much out there on it.
go ahead, yeah, I was just gonna say, because you ask the Japanese, they'll tell you right quick. We've been here 5 million years, and then people on them islands look like us.
yeah, I mean, they know
Right.
it's a scientist in China who did that, who did a research on that, and they found out the creator of what they what it was black folks. You know what I'm saying? By going back to Africa, it wasn't. They
And it wasn't
understand that
going back to Africa.
huh?
That's the problem. Everything they try to make it go back to Africa when it ain't supposed to be going back to Africa.
I can't
It
see how
makes
come
no
the American
sense for
people
everything.
misunderstand.
It makes no sense for everything to go back to Africa when there was nothing in Africa.
It was just land. There was nobody there, was just land and animals and shit. What you saying?
What I'm saying is, Africa is not old enough to support life. It just got here. They don't
Right.
even
When
have soil over there. They got dirt. We got soil over here. And it takes years and years and years and years and years and years and more years to make soil from dirt.
but they got soil
We
in
got soil.
they
No,
got
they
soil
got
too.
dirt. Once you get
I
away from
mean,
the floodplains of the rivers, you go straight into dust.
but they have soil too that is able to produce a lot of
Right by the rivers.
yeah, but it still have soil
That's because
regardless of that.
that's because of the silt that's coming off the bottom of the rivers. Remember, if the Nile River didn't flood, Egypt would starve.
Exactly.
So they have to have the silt to even give their dirt enough horsepower to grow something to eat.
But it still have
Now
soil,
you
right?
you go down there in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, southern parts of Georgia, northern parts of Florida, that dirt is black.
It is. Because they call it
It
that
is
area
black.
that called it dealing with the soil. They call it the black soil or whatever. It was the triangle, whatever it was. You're right. I agree with you that. But I'm saying
Okay,
Africa has plenty of soil too.
if man came from soil and the soil is black over here,
Well,
what
I
would
don't
the
believe in that
man
shit
look
either.
like?
Ain't no goddamn way.
Nah, well you gotta understand. You gonna be from where you gonna be. I
Yeah,
told
but
you I ain't got no problem with that. But
ain't no,
if you want to talk
yeah.
about an ecosystem that would actually support life, that ecosystem was here before it was over there.
Uh, I don't know, brother. You know what I'm saying? I take it in consideration, but you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that, but I don't go all the way with that. It just doesn't
That's
matter.
that's that's on you. That's on you, brother. That is all on you. That is
But you know
all
what?
on
But you
you.
gave me I'm saying, but you gave me some jewels and stuff that I can look into it. It gave me the perspective. I got to go a little further than I have before, and I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that.
That's to be honest, I couldn't ask for nothing better.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know what
Because
I'm saying? I'm not gonna just
if you
yeah.
go and start looking, that's all you got to do is just start looking and look diligently and without a bias. You'll see a whole different history open up in front of your eyes
Yo, I'm gonna do
that
that
you
because I want
never knew that
yeah.
you
It's
never
all about the
knew
truth,
had
man.
ever happened. Because
I
they
agree with
hide
you. All
all
about the truth.
they claim they had all this stuff. It's not really hidden. It's just nobody goes to look because they bought the story that they hid it all. But it's not hidden. Start hitting up the archives. Start looking at these archives inside these colleges.
Yo,
See what I'm saying?
hey brother, let me
Study
ask
this
you.
land.
Yeah, let me ask you and Jerome this, and maybe B too. Maybe you subscribe to this too. How do you know that you actually from here? How do you know this factually?
Look at us. We're different.
That's not my point.
We
I'm,
no.
I gotta go further than that, brother.
How
I
do you
can't
know
use
you?
the
How do
question
you
like
know
that.
you from Africa? Wait a minute. How do you know you from Africa?
Well, I did a DNA thing.
Okay, and it told you you was from West Africa.
Ba- the Bantu clan.
Okay, did it tell you? Because Bantus is just a movement of people into Africa.
Well,
So they just told you was an immigrant to Africa, but they didn't tell you that part of the immigration story coming into West Africa was the American colonization
I
being
didn't
put
see.
over there.
Yeah,
So
I didn't see none of that when I did my research. When I went a
your
little further
question
with the
need to
Bantu.
be your question need to be, did your African DNA come through the American Colonization Society, or did it actually come through this Bantu expansion, is how it was referred to? There's
Well,
really not a certain group of people. When they say the Bantu, that's a language group. That's a people that speak a similar language. And they
language,
came
yeah, language,
into
culture, but also
Africa.
location too.
Yeah,
So it's a little
yeah.
bit of
They
everything
moved
else.
in. They moved in. Go look. That Bantu expansion is actually a theory.
Yeah, I mean we
But
nomads.
go
I mean, yeah, we
go
know we've
go
been
look
nomads
and
and stuff,
see.
but
Okay, well, where'd you nomad your ass into Africa from?
it wasn't from America, for what I read, for what
No,
I
but
was
where was
reading
it
from that.
from? Cause see, now we got a problem because you just said you was a nomad. That means you an immigrant all the time.
Well, not
So
no.
where
I'm
did
just
you
moving. I ain't
where you an
immigrated to there. I
immigrant
live in the
from?
same land that belongs to
Okay,
me,
where did
without
you
moving out there,
where did you migrate? Where did you nomad from when you before you got to Africa? Because they have you listed as a Bantu expansion coming into Africa.
I got you, brother. But please answer my question. Where did you get the notion that you are native to here, not based on looks, scientifically or something? How do you know that you actually from here? How do you
Because
know
I
this?
had because I had the good sense to talk to my grandmother then when I was growing up. I had the fortunate ability to be with my grandmother when that stupid movie Roots came out. And that conversation came up in the house. And I said, is that our story? She says, no, that is not our story. That is not everybody's story. That's some people's story. And as I grew up and I checked on what she was saying, guess what, baby? She was right. It's not everybody's story. That's not a blanket that everybody can lay under. See, you trying to put
brother. I'm not.
everybody under one blanket.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not dismiss. I would never disrespect your grandmother or whatever, but that's not enough for me. You know what I'm saying? That she
Well,
told you that you weren't
well
from here.
now hold on, because you accepted the results of a DNA test conducted by people you don't know with a very small set of samples that you've never seen,
No, I
that
just
never told you, wait a minute, that never told you about a complete story because they left out the American colonization part of that story altogether. So
hey,
your information ain't exactly as strong as you might think it is.
well, I never said I believed it. I just told you what I just told you my
You just
DNA.
told me what somebody else told you. See,
What I'm saying, yeah, what I'm saying is that I didn't say
where
that
the
I
personal
believed.
responsibility come in because you gave me a story about you that came from somebody else, and I gave you a story about me that came from me.
Yo, but I'm saying that I just told you about this story. I didn't say that I believe that I came. I don't know where the fuck I came from. I have no fucking clue, and none of us do either. None of us know
Where your
exactly
grandma?
where the fuck we come
Where
from.
your grandma come from?
From
Where,
Jonesville,
where,
South Carolina.
okay, and where did her grandma come from?
The same area. Then my great grandmother came from Charleston.
Okay, so y'all South Carolina Indians.
Yeah, so I'm
y'all
saying so we
y'all
moved. Yeah,
tusk
we moved.
y'all Tuscaroras and shit. Cause see,
Well, I mean,
you done already went back. Now I'm gonna speculate that you somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 years old. So you done took your butt and walked all the way back to the 1700s almost, and people that you just found in South Carolina. And in that list that you just gave me, not one of them people popped up from Africa. So my question
well,
is again, how you
brother,
get to be African?
brother, I never see you putting words in my mouth. I never said none of the things. I didn't confirm that they are true. I'm giving you information on what I
Okay.
know. All right. So what I have gathered that when I went back to my great grandmother, she came over here from Angola, some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? For the rights. So
Yeah.
what I gathered so
Yeah.
far from what the record showed me, the slave list and everything else, my great grand whatever came from Angola. So I mean, what should I go with that?
Well, Angola, you just
It could
told
be
me
true
that.
though.
Wait a minute, no, yeah, it could be, but what you just told me is that they were Portuguese and not Africans.
I ain't say Portuguese.
Yeah, but you said Angola.
Yeah, but that's not Portuguese.
Okay, yes, it is.
Oh
Who you
shit!
think started? Who you
This
think
man
started
get
Angola?
this man get a whole
Who?
continent, a whole
Well,
country different name. And
yep. No, I didn't. They was calling it Angola in 1495, but it was a Portuguese colony in 1495 too.
okay, despite the name, the people from there, you know what I'm saying? Whether Angola, whether it's Fafola, I don't know. What I'm saying is that the people that let's say the Portuguese, they came there to get the, you know what I'm saying? When they came to trade and everything else, they realized that part of the country was rich. Yeah, they enslaved them. Yes, and they called it Angola as far as the names like Nigeria. These are new names dealing with colonization and everything else. I get you on that, but them people there, whether they call Angola or not, these are people that my grandmother came from. That's part. I mean, that's my maternal side. I'm saying my
You
paternal
know,
side is something
Portuguese
different.
people are basically black, right?
Wait a minute, hold on, because it gets even better than that. Has anybody in your family ever been called a Negro?
Yeah,
Okay, don't you know that Negro is just another term for Portuguese?
it don't matter. White folks call it Negro. I don't. You know what
Because
I'm saying?
they
It's a
calling
Spanish.
you a
I mean,
Portuguese.
it's a Latin word, Spanish word too for mean black. You know what I'm saying? Negro, Negro, whatever. Yes, I get that.
Actually, it means they say Portuguese, just
Yo,
like your record,
fellas.
just like your record just showed you.
Yeah.
Hey, I
But anyway,
got you.
B, go
Hey,
ahead.
hold up, fellas. Hey, this is a whole different segment, yo.
It
We
is.
done been on for 2 hours and
Yo,
15 minutes.
hey,
We're gonna have to wrap this up. We're gonna have to wrap. Hey, if we need
fuck,
to
hey
save this
man,
for
hey,
next Sunday, we say
fuck
this
with
for next
brother,
Sunday.
man.
Huh?
Yo, fuck, hey, mess with brother Wolf, man. He challenged me today, but I love this shit, man. I love this. I love it. He pushing me, boy.
Hey,
I love this shit. This is what I'm talking about. Sharpen my goddamn iron, baby. Yes, sir.
yo, this
He
is. I
pushing
tell
me
you
today,
what.
boy. He pushing me. He got me. I like this shit. Good job. Thanks, brother.
We,
It's a
we're
pleasure.
gonna wrap it up, yo. I know. Hey, if y'all want to talk about, if this is the segment that we want to talk about next Sunday
It's a
for
pleasure, brother.
brunch, we'll do this. I like this building. I mean, dude,
Hey,
2 hours. But I know
hey,
I got
man.
a lot
Next
of
time,
feedback going
next
on.
time we do it, man, bring some brunch too, man. Bring a sandwich or something. We eat some fucking brunch together and shit. Let's make it right. You know what I'm saying?
Man, you just got to be glad that he can talk to us. I'm sitting up here just basking in the glow. I done
Oh,
heard
now you
this.
wanna?
I ain't heard this voice in look like 6 months now.
Hey, man. This been a play. Hey, man, y'all made my Sunday, man. Hey, brother, man. I fucks with you, man.
It's all
Pardon my
good, baby
language,
boy.
but I fucks with you. This how I talk. I'm sorry, brother.
It's
But
all good. You ain't
you know what I'm
scaring me
saying?
nothing,
So
man.
yeah,
I've been around here a long time. Your words can't hurt me. I'm glad to hear you listening. Go
hey,
ahead and
brother.
do
Yeah,
your
hey,
research,
man.
baby.
Hey, man. You pushed me, man. You pushed me. You shocked me today. I like that shit. Make me think. Make me question my own self.
Hey, that's
I'm
about
not a guy
building.
who ignore that shit. You know what I'm saying? If I don't know shit, tell me. I'm gonna look it up. What Jerome said about that whole thing taking line, I'm gonna check this shit out now. You know what I'm saying? I didn't
But
dismiss it. I didn't agree with it, but I didn't miss it either. You know what I'm saying? I gotta learn some new shit. I may find something different. Hey, I learned, yo, man. They was, hey, man. Y'all did me right, man.
No, it's a whole
yo,
different world out there,
hey,
baby. I just want you to see it.
Hey, man, just some real barber, shop talk on a Sunday, man. Y'all did me right. Hey, brother. Yeah, man. I gotta talk to you some more, man. We gotta talk some more, man. We gotta we gotta go at it again. I like that. That's what I'm talking about. Push me, goddamn. Push me. I like that shit. Push me. Challenge me.
hey,
Go
is that
ahead,
not
Brent.
building? Is that not building?
Hey,
That's
man, that's
building,
Sunday
right?
is
building. Hey, man. He built me today, dog. He gave me some stuff to go look up and search and everything else. He got me questioning everything. The trees out here
yeah,
blooming and shit, but they lying too,
That's a
goddamn
good thing. That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
I'm saying now. Sunday is
That's
my
the whole
one day
point.
off. And Jerome messed up and they started this on a Sunday. So guess what y'all get? I sit here and save stuff up all week. Plus, I got to come by here and see if this boy gonna talk to me or something. I wake up Sunday morning wondering if he's all right.
Yeah,
I
man.
hope, I hope they ain't hit this nigga today.
Yeah, man. Hey, brother. Hey, man. They didn't call me in about a year and a half. You know, they say fuck me, man. I be watching them. It's like, yo, they ain't calling brother back on. What the deal is? What I do to
My
y'all?
bad, Wheeler.
What I do to y'all,
That's
man?
on me,
I ain't do
Wheeler.
nothing to y'all, man.
That's my
Yeah, that's
bad. That's
big
my bad.
bro.
Hey,
You
hey,
know
but
what
I
I'm
got you
saying?
on today though.
Yeah,
Hey, they
you right, man. You got me on today, man. It's been a pleasure, man. Y'all made my day, man. I got a lot to think about and research and you know what I'm saying? Refine myself, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Jay-Z say, let me introduce myself to y'all, man. I'm coming back with something. Hey, brother, I'm coming back to your ass now. I'm coming
I'll
back
be
to you.
around. Hey, I'll be around like a donut,
You
baby.
got them. It's right. Don't move. Don't move. And I'm coming back. I'm coming to you, baby.
That's gonna move me. I'm stuck in my spot like a tree.
Hey, man. Keep on standing. Keep on standing, brother. Stay strong, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Uh,
Hey, Jerome, man. Ain't gonna hold y'all up, man. It's a pleasure. Thank you for calling back on. It took y'all long enough. You know what I'm saying? Y'all forgot me and shit and treat me like a fucking I'm a clown or some shit, man. Y'all clown me, man. I ain't heard from y'all, man.
a redhead stick
My
down.
bad, my bad, my
Hey,
bad, dude.
hey, brother, hey, they clown me, man. I ain't told you, brother, about a year and some change, man. You know what I'm saying?
Only one of them talked to me, so
They do. Hey, so you feel it too, huh?
yeah, that's that sometime he love.
That sometimes shit ain't right. We ain't got time for that shit, man. I'm 51 years old, man. I got time no fuck sometime you love.
Hey, I love you,
Y'all
baby.
some goddamn Eddie Murphy. Y'all part-time lovers, man. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm in love with a big guy you can't stand.
You know what I'm saying, brother? They part-time lovers, man. They did me
Yeah,
dirty,
they
dog. They ain't heard from me, but you know what? We back today, man. You know, it was worth it too, man. Brother Ruff, once
Hey, man.
again, it's a pleasure
It's
to talk
all
to you,
good.
man. You know what I'm saying? You gave me a lot of information to think about, things to think about. AB, you
I
know what I'm saying?
appreciate
We got, you know what I'm saying? We got roots, man. So that gave me love. You know what I'm saying? Roam me wrong. You know what I'm saying? You run a corner, man. So I know where
My
you
brother,
at. You know what I'm saying?
my brother.
It's a pleasure seeing y'all, man.
It's
Yes,
all
sir.
good. It's good to talk to you.
Yo,
I hope
Jerome
it
got
helps.
that damn that gray ass beard now on that motherfucker goddamn oh that
Hey,
shit
hey,
gray, but that bitch like a
wait a minute.
I
Wait
call
a
your
minute.
ass
Wait a
Graham
minute.
Pops. I thought my shit was gray.
Oh, you got to get the back up off my brother now, because his shit just now got the gray. I've been here walking this for a minute.
Hey
Don't
man,
be
I
disrespecting the
got a little
gray.
bit I got a little bit peppered in here and there, but Jerome got a whole goddamn Jesus shit going on.
I'm getting
The
some of that
Moses shit.
fluid so you can understand that.
Jerome, you old dude. Hey man, you that dude on the corner, man. Be
Oh,
like, yo, I when I catch your ass on Friday, girl. On my payday, goddamn.
Uh,
You know what I'm saying, brother? Word.
Y'all wrong, man.
Huh?
uh,
What Jerome
hey,
say? I think a bell water girl.
don't make me break out the hurricane. Right from this shit.
Oh man,
Don't
I'm saying y'all made my day, man. I'm about to go work. Let me go work out now, man.
I feel you. I feel you.
Gotta
All
go to the
right.
gym, man.
good.
Hit the gym
It's
right
all
quick, man.
good.
Hey, I'm gonna holler. Hey, man. Yo, invite me back on. Hey, if
Sunday.
Brother Worth not on there, don't invite me back.
Sunday. Brother Wathrow will be. Hey,
Yo, if Brother
Sunday
Worth not
brunch.
on there, don't vote. No, don't bring him back on. I got to be there with him.
All right. Bet. I got it.
Yes, sir.
All right, yo. We gonna wrap this thing up, y'all. Again, I hear a lot of feedback. I don't know if that's me. I hope that's not me. But I'm gonna get my last words out. Thank everybody for coming on. I appreciate the love. I appreciate everybody sharing what they sharing. Um, Sunday brunch. I see this is a good thing that we're doing. Sunday brunch at 11:30. I mean not 11:30 at 11 o'clock. So
Yeah.
yo, just keep showing us love, and we're gonna keep building. That's mine, and I like I always say is look in the mirror, say I love you. Don't be afraid for it to say I love you back. Understand who you are, believe who you are, and research, man. Knowledge is power. The more you research and more you seek, the more knowledge you get. So that's my last words. Go ahead, Jerome. Finish it off, my brother.
All right. As always, first of all, I want to say to Brother Willer, time is relative. It's the same love, whether it's a year apart, whether it's 10 years apart. Um, thank you, Brother Wathrow. We need that ancient, old school. We need that voice that keeps us level. I appreciate you. And as always, like we always say, please don't believe anything that's here on here. Go research it for yourself. Come back. We'll keep building. Knowledge is power. It's the only way you're gonna free yourself. So love the people around you. All I gotta say. We'll do this again next Sunday, 11 o'clock. Like, share, get it out there. Bring somebody back with you next time to watch. All right?
Yo, before we go, man, I'm just gonna add to what y'all say about the knowledge. The application of knowledge is wisdom, man. So once you apply that knowledge, then you get a little bit of wisdom. Am I right, Brother Worth?
Brother
Oh yeah.
Wathrow.
Yeah, I'm
I
saying.
appreciate y'all
Hey,
letting me.
let's apply together with this, get this wisdom, man. And my pleasure,
I
guys.
appreciate y'all letting. I always enjoy coming on here on Sundays. Give me somebody to talk to. So that'll work.
Hey, get your cap.
Appreciate my brother. I got kids. That thing got a mouth on it. I don't want it.
Get your cat, brother. You sound a little lonely there, man. Get your cat.
Y'all said if it got a mouth on it, I don't want it. That damn thing gonna want somebody to feed it. I ain't doing it.
I know that. Hey, let me go, man, cause I can go all day, man. Y'all know me, man. I'm gonna throw some shit out there, so let me go, man, cause I can keep going all day, man. Cause I know me and brother, we cut up all day, man. I can tell that shit.
All right, yo, this is the Three-Headed Monster podcast, yo. We signing off. Peace.
All right, peace, y'all.
Peace.